Hello, Gelato Familia. It's George, the Disney Italiano, coming to you with another live. And of course, got a good friend of mine, Mr. Lucas Kim. Welcome back. And I wanted to have Lucas back on. Uh, well, not just because he's great to talk to and have good conversation with, but just recently he's come off of his very first Disney cruise, and I know for quite some time, Lucas, you've been trying to figure out like the right time when to do a Disney cruise. So I'm very curious and excited to know in depth of what you thought of it, because I've been kind of hyping you up, saying I absolutely love Disney Cruise Line. It's like one of the best cruise lines out there. I won't go with anyone but Disney. But before we get into all that, if you want to let everyone know where they could find you on social media.
Hi everyone. So you can find me on iLucasK on X. That's my hashtag name right there. And then you can also find me on Blue Sky. It's lucaskim.com. I also have a YouTube channel, Lucas and Disney. You can subscribe and follow me right there.
Awesome. And then of course we got the hollow to my gelato. We got Abby in the house. And so Lucas, start from the beginning. Like what made you choose the because there's many different Disney cruise ships. Which cruise ship did you choose?
I chose a recently released cruise, Destiny. That just came out like not too long ago. It was like a couple months ago, and I decided to get on board that one instead. I was kind of like deciding whether I should go Magic or Wish or Destiny at the time, and somebody suggested, like if I really want to, experience like something really nice for the first time, I might as well choose Destiny.
Yeah, I haven't been on the Destiny yet, but a lot of the newer Wish class ships um placate to a lot of great storytelling like throughout the voyage, because they added a lot of like new characters and basically, yeah, like a full-fledged storyline. If guests want to follow that storyline, obviously you don't have to, but yeah, do you want to talk about like how many nights, where was your ports of call, what was your overall assumption of it?
So I had a 5 night 6 days cruise to go on Bahamas cruise along with the Disney K at the lighthouse right there, and it was obviously during the time at the January, and mind you, I thought it would be like a perfect time to go during that time, but uh, after going there and coming back, I kind of regret on going during January period, on only because like the weather was not so kind to us at that time. Like it was very cold. It was like around 60 to 70 degrees outside.
Okay. Yeah, I'm trying to think. I did a Disney cruise. I think it was in February, in 2020. No, sorry, in 2017. Because it was like our family vacation after I graduated college, and we went on the Disney Wonder. And I remember going to the island, but I remember like when we went to the water, like we just stuck our feet in, and it was freezing. And we were like,
Yeah.
what, we're not fully getting in, but it was nice to just be on the island and what have you. But yeah, like some of the winter months, you can definitely still tell that it's winter, even though you're in like the Bahamas. Now, what was some of the other did you do any activities while you were on Castaway Key, or
I was going to do that, and then I was going to do snorkeling at the time, but obviously, as I mentioned, like how the water was like extremely cold, I kind of like wasted that hundred like few dollars right there. Um, and I just decided not to go. I tried to take a dip into the seawater and then try to do my own snorkeling at the shore, and I could barely like stand for more than like 30 minutes and like 15 minutes right there. I started to like feel a little bit of hypothermia at that time. And so, like I love swimming and everything, but if I probably went there around like, April or May around that time, I think the beach and the shore would be a lot warmer and such. I would have enjoyed those activities right up there. Uh, Aside from that, there were definitely activities around that time that I could have done so, but I just decided not to do so. I was kind of looking forward to doing like the ATV riding too.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I do know that at Castaway Key you could also do jet skis where you can like you go like literally to like there's this little plot of land like off the island, but it's still
Hmm.
part of the island, but it's just this little piece of land that you're just surrounded by water, and you
Right.
can, I heard it's a hell of a view. I've never done it yet myself, but I was always curious about it. And John Make It Rain says ATV sounds fun, and asks, "Can you ride on those little sailboats in the background on the Disney islands?" Yeah, so at Castaway Key and also at one of their newest islands, Lookout Key, that you can go on. Yeah, you can go on sailboats, jet skis. You can go, as Lucas had mentioned, you could go snorkeling. So there's a lot of different activities that you could do on it. You could even go bike riding. If you wanted to ride bikes on the trail. You can go walking on the trail. You can go to the lighthouse. Um, there's many different areas of the island. They even do the I believe like the half marathons on the
Yes,
island
they
as
do.
well.
I've seen people jogging through that whole island right up there. So, like, I wouldn't, if it was me, I feel a little bit concerned about jogging around the island, like, without anyone's guardian, like, kind of looking over for you. But I guess the island is like pretty safe enough that, people are confident enough that they can just, run around the places, when even though no one's looking or anything like that.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. And John McRain said they should add one of those giant inflatable obstacle courses that float on the water. Now I do know they have it's Pelican's Brief, I believe it's called. It's not an inflatable obstacle course, but it's basically like a kids or family like water slides and kind of like a water jungle gym that just sits in the water. And to the inflatable obstacle courses, I do know that they actually have those on the ship, not in the water, but they have like designated areas where kids and families can do like the obstacle courses on the newer ships on the Wish class. Now I know they have it on the Wish and I think on the Treasure, but I'm not 100% sure if they have it on the Destiny.
I think there was an option for that, but obviously the course that I was going didn't probably didn't have that option. But obviously, like if they're probably going to the Castaway, and like specifically, then maybe. But the lighthouse, I don't think they have that.
Okay. Now, did you stop at Lookout Key at Lighthouse Point?
Not exactly. Now, like I have to, remind you, like it was just I didn't really get a chance to like look everything as much right there. But I will say that the foods were really good. Like, yeah, the barbecue, like outdoor, was phenomenal. Like I actually enjoyed eating over there, and taking photos at the Donald Duck and Mickey and Minnie were pretty good experience right there. Overall, like like what I liked the most about the island was actually the water color itself. Obviously, I've been to Cancun before, and comparing to Cancun and this island's like water quality, I'd probably say like Disney's Lookout Cay definitely they definitely manage the quality of the beach waters, and they do maintain it as as good as possible. And
I do agree with you. Castaway Key, the water is literally it's translucent. It has like that crystal blue kind of feel to it. And Lookout Key actually, even as much as even Castaway Key has, um, very nice water. Lokaki, I think, even has even more, like, even clearer water. I didn't even know that they could get even clearer than that, but they did over in Lokaki. So I mean, but as far as like the logistics of how the island is set up, I still prefer Castaway. That's just my personal thought on it. Now, you had mentioned the food because you had mentioned like with the barbecue and everything. How was the food for you actually on the ship with the buffet, like up at the, I guess they have it as the marketplace. The newer ships have it like as the marketplace, and then they
Yes.
have like the outdoor um like vendor kind of things, and even the rotational dining. Just overall, what was your experience with the food?
So my first impression was that, I actually went to the marketplace. That was like the first thing that as soon as I boarded, because I was pretty hungry, and I want to get something. Now, I was not actually expecting like when I went to signature dining section. Apparently, they actually had tonkatsu, like a Japanese pork cutlet, as well as kimchi. That was also another thing that was right there. I was very highly impressed. And then the next day they actually had, like Korean style, like barbecue wings right there. So chili wings, and this marketplace just like kind of like impressed me every day, and even the breakfast was really good. I couldn't complain about it. My biggest disappointment is that the marketplace actually has a very limited time. Like, it was
Yes.
like in between 11 to 2 or something like that.
Yeah,
And
so they usually have like limited time between like breakfast and possibly lunchtime, or they'll shut it down for lunch and then open it back up for a later kind of lunch kind of thing, but then, or brunch I should say.
right.
Sometimes they'll open it for that, and uh then they just reclose it down completely for when dinner comes for like the rotational um dining. Do you recall what the rotational restaurants are on the Disney?
Yeah, so I went to the one with the first night was 1928. I went to the Roy Disney's no, Walt Disney section of it. So now keep in mind, like, like for those people who do not know, there's two types of time that you would go into those rotational dining. The one is like at 5 p.m. and the other one is at 8 p.m. There's no like anything in between right there. And I found out about that. Like, I kind of asked the cast member at the customer service why there isn't anything in between, and they specifically told me that it's because of the like you know like the duration of the time that they can keep the guests right there, and then resetting everything, cleaning up, and then bringing the different type of cast members to serve those for assigned to that time right there. Now, originally I was gonna go during the 8 p.m. one on the first night, and I just couldn't really like it was very exhausting, so I decided to go on the 5 p.m. one instead. And I think that was much better experience for me. I think for the 8 p.m. one, I think for those people who live in California or like Hawaii or something like that for that time zone, it's probably better experience for them, because the time zone differences, it's easier for them to get dinner during that time. As for time zone from my end, I think 5 p.m. was a perfect timing for me.
Yeah, because I've dined both times because I just wanted to have the experience. Because I know as they do the rotational dining between the 5 p.m. slot and the 8 p.m. slot, they basically have two groups. So whoever is dining first, the second group of people are watching the show in the Walt Disney Theater, and then they'll switch, and then whoever has the 8 p.m. will go to dinner, and then the show at the Walt Disney Theater for 8 o'clock. So that's usually how they rotate. I didn't mind doing the 8 p.m. The only problem is stretching my time out throughout the day so I can stay hungry for that late. And then by the time, doing all the day's activities and everything, I'm just so tired that it's like by 8 p.m., it's just like I just want to just relax. Like I don't want to, eat this late. So I actually enjoy the 5 p.m. slot to eat and then sit and relax and watch a show.
That's also another thing too. If you kind of realize it, like let's say that I go I get off the ship like to go like whether it's the Bahamas or Cozumel or like somewhere, I come back around at 4 p.m. I get tired of it, and then the first thing I want to do is eat dinner, obviously, and then I just realized the first night like ended up missing out like the Walt Disney Theater show because I decided to take the dinner around at 8 p.m. So like I missed a lot of things that was happening. I didn't know anything about it, and the after switched to 5 p.m. one, um, my time management got much better. Me wanting to do a lot more activities during the evening time, it was a lot more flexible for me, and like it reminding me better on what to do and where to go and such. If I didn't do that, obviously during the early evening time, I probably feel exhausted and didn't probably would probably miss a lot of like shows or anything like that too. So that's another thing that I had an issue with.
Okay. And yeah, so it's 1923. It's Worlds of Marvel, and then what was? Do you remember what the third restaurant was?
Yes, it was a Lion King festivals
That's
of food or which one that one right there, and then obviously the next day I went back to 1923, and then the next day I went to Worlds of Marvel, and then the finally the when before you get off the ship it was like the breakfast time was like six a.m. or 5 or 6 a.m. and they were doing Worlds of Marvel, but I didn't attend that. I just couldn't get up. I was like, nah, I'm done.
yeah,
They're like, oh, either you go there or you go to the marketplace. And I said, I'm going to marketplace. I'm sorry. It's just I like you can tell me to wake up at like 7 a.m. I'll try to get up, but if you're gonna tell me to wake up at 5 a.m. to eat breakfast at 6 a.m., that's not gonna happen for me unless it's like a conference reason where like I have to go to school or something.
yeah.
Like
That was always rough. That like the final day when you disembark off the ship or what have you, where it's like, yeah, be up, be here for like if you want to have breakfast at 6 a.m. or 6:15, as you had mentioned. It's like, yeah, I can. Or even just during the cruise, if they're like, hey, if you want to have breakfast, inside one of the rotational restaurants, it's like, yeah, I'm not a morning person, so um, yeah. So, which one was your favorite restaurant?
uh, if I have to talk about the rotation one, I probably would say that um I didn't like the the entertainment wise, it's definitely Lion King. They actually perform, and it kind of reminded me of like the time when I was in Animal King, Disney Animal Kingdom, and they did the whole Lion King like storytelling
The
show, the
Festival of
musical, right there. Yeah, that was really good. And then the food quality wise, I probably say 1923 is like the best one in
Okay. Yeah,
in a matter.
I have dined at 1923, but I've done it on the Wish. And Worlds of Marvel on the Wish as well. So yeah, The Lion King is only exclusively for the Disney Destiny. So I'm very curious. I do love how Disney is starting to have at least one out of the rotational restaurants be where they have like entertainment with your dinner experience.
Yeah. I'm gonna answer John
Mhm.
McTrain's. Is he was asking, do the ships have a lot of gluten option for breakfast, lunch, and dinner? You can ask them. Um, they're very flexible. A lot of stuff. They ask you like, are you allergic to certain things? Are you like, do you like if they're seeking for a gluten-free type of breakfast, they give you that option. And even the marketplace, they actually like write in the description say this is a gluten-free. You can grab that if you want to. And
Yeah, I do believe. Yeah, you are right. They are very accommodating. They are very flexible. If anyone has any allergies, if you're gluten free, if you're a vegetarian, hell, I think even if you're like a pescatarian, and you can't eat meat, but you could eat seafood and what have you. They know how
mhm.
to, like the chefs know how to maneuver all that stuff. So yeah, that is very a big gold star for me when it comes to Disney Cruise Line. Now I know it's a lot more pricier upfront, but I love how a lot of times, I've heard you get nickled and dimed with a lot of other cruise lines where With Disney, they do have upcharge options, like if you want like alcohol or specialty desserts or what have you, or if you're dining at Palo or Remy or Enchante, like the higher end restaurants. But I like for
So
the most part
yeah,
really neat.
sorry to interrupt you. So
Mhm.
I didn't go to Palo and Enchante this time, only because I actually wanted to experience like what it feels like not
Mm.
paying extra, like for those type of like for those families who don't want to spend those type of extra things. I decided to be that person to like experience that.
And that was
Obviously,
smart. With it being your first cruise, I think honestly that is the best route to see how just a typical rotation is for the cruise. They actually feel like to say, yeah, what does it feel like where I don't have to be nickeled and dimed, you know?
right. And there's one thing that I will say. If you have a family going and you want to take a photo with like princesses like specifically, they have a reservation that required that's from Palo or Enchante. That that's the only like reason that you would like you were forced to go on like those type of like if you want to take a photo with a princesses, obviously like private photos with them, then you have to do those like you have to reserve one of those dinings. I mean, I find it a little bit ridiculous, but at the same time, I feel like that's like a kind of a, like a privilege thing. So if you're like a big princess like I gotta take a photo with the princess, without like waiting too much on the line, or like I want to like private photos with them, like on their open schedule, then you have to like obviously reserve Palo and Shantae. And I've heard a lot of good things about Palo and Shantae. It's just that for me, like I like I kind of was like asking myself, do I really want to do it or do I not want to do it? And obviously, as you said, like for my first time, I kind of didn't want to do it for the like the, good experience of like what it feels like eating every a single like of those food booths for those people who don't want to spend those type of money right there. And obviously, Goofy's like the grill, and then the pizzas, Donald's like Mexican foods, they were all good too. Though those were open until like 10 to 11 p.m. And like my favorite food out of that was like actually the pizza right there. Like that just was just like I probably ordered like one or two pies of cheese pizza before, and that was like enough filling right there. And also, oh, they do have a soft ice cream that's for free without going to Edna's or Gelato, which you actually have to pay separate money for.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, we love utilizing the soft serve ice cream. You know, they have different flavors throughout the cruise and what have you. I love that, and I do agree with you. The pizza on the cruise, I tell you what, for it being cruise pizza, you know, I have to say it's done really well. I do have to say. And John Make It Rain said, I wonder if Disney would ever do river cruises like Viking river cruises over in Europe. Now, I do know with the Adventures by Disney, I do know that they do the Rhine River cruises through Adventures by Disney.
I don't know about river cruises, but I definitely know that they do cruise that goes to Norway, and they kind of do a lot of like a Frozen theme right there. I can't really say too much about Viking, but I know I looked at one of those like what is it, trip plans, and on one of the YouTube videos, and some of the Norway like stop point actually has like that Viking type of like tour right there. So I maybe if you're into that type of stuff, you could probably try that.
Yeah. And John, yes, the other newest ship that will be sailing out, I believe, March 10th is its grand sailing is the Disney Adventure. It is currently, yeah, it's going to be Disney's biggest ship because it was purchased when Bob Chapek was CEO, and he basically bought it for pennies in a sense because it was during the time of COVID. It was a ship that was 75% completed and it got abandoned. The company didn't want it, and it was just sitting stale. And Disney found a great deal on it. They purchased it, and it is now the Disney Adventure. And right now, it is only they're only doing, I think, between like 3 and 4 night sailings out in Singapore, which it's not going to have any ports of call, no stops. It's basically just going around in the water in Singapore. But I have to say, though, the pricing is actually very well for the cruise itself. It's just obviously getting over to Singapore that would be more more of the cost. But it is very different and unique than the current Disney cruise ships thus far because of how the ship was manufactured and designed. Disney basically had to utilize that and kind of make it their own. So it is designed very differently than the current ships. And then Tokyo is going to get their own ship. OLC, or the Oriental Land Company, is basically paying for their own ship. So if what Tokyo Disneyland is and Disney Sea is what it is from OLC, I can imagine what their cruise ship is going to be like. And then after that, Disney's adding another 4 cruise ships. So it's going to bring the fleet up to 13 total by 2031, I believe.
I'm kind of curious about it. After releasing those four, like, do you feel that Magic or Wonder is eventually going to stop like cruising, and then whether they'll like stop cruising and then like bring it to the harbor and like redo the whole rooms and like everything, like, you know, from scratch to beyond right
That's a
there?
very good question. And honestly, a lot of people have been wondering when Disney did make that initial announcement at D23, and they were wondering, is the Magic and the Wonder up on the chopping block? Because they are literally the two original ships, opened in 1998 and 1999. So, I mean, they've been going for quite some time. Now, I do know they have been on a lot of dry docks. They've done a lot of reimagining with those ships, but I do wonder. I think, to answer your question, I think what's going to happen is we'll have the 13 ships initially for a little bit to kind of give people the feel to say, oh, Disney has 13 ships. But then I think what's going to happen is they'll probably have the final sailings for the Magic and the Wonder. Um, and then they'll probably just either dismantle them, or they'll dismantle them but rebuild them literally from scratch to maybe make them bigger and better. And they could either do them as the Magic and the Wonder 2.0, or they may completely rename them all together.
That's what I was thinking, but also, you know, obviously, at this point, like, uh, if you didn't know, Magic and Wonder are having so much deals that are going on. Like, they have very aggressive deals, like comparing to Wish or Destiny, or I mean, Wish is also has an aggressive deal, but as of right now, comparing to everything else, Magic and Wonder have so much aggressive deals, and I kept wondering, like, are they like trying to make people, you know, ride it for once, like, and last time? If anything, it feels like they're about to like send them off to, like, you know, farewell or something like that going on.
I mean, it very well could. It very well could. I mean, because by the time 2031 comes, which Disney did promise us 13 ships, but they didn't say that the Magic and the Wonder were going to be part of those 13 ships. They
Yeah.
just said 13 Disney cruise ships. So I agree with you. The fact that, they are doing a lot of deals with the Magic and the Wonder right now because of how old those ships are, even though they are very master class ships in the Disney Cruise Line fleet, when comparing them to the Wish, the Treasure, the Destiny, and then these newer ships that are coming out, the pricing wouldn't match of what is offered on these newer ships. So, yeah, I mean, there's a possibility we may get a curveball where Disney's like, we're still keeping our promise. You're getting 13 Disney cruise ships, but unfortunately, um, the Magic and the Wonder are going to be sailing off into the horizon, um, during this time, and if when that time comes, because I know it's going to come eventually, and I know the price will probably spike for that cruise. I would love to do either the final sailing on either the Magic, the Wonder, or if I could swing it both, because I would love to do those final sailings on them.
So, now do you feel that like these new ships should like replace the same courses where Magic and Wonder are going, like Alaska or Norway, or even like around the Euro trip kind of thing right there? Or do you
I
feel that?
think, yeah, I think if they were to get rid of the magic and the wonder, I feel like either one of the new ships or or if whatever ships replace them, they would have to follow maybe the itinerary because the Alaskan cruises are very popular. Um, the Hawaiian cruises are very popular. I'm still wondering if one of the new ships, like out of the four, is going to be docked out here in LA because
Mhm.
we still, even though the Wonder and the Magic come over for certain times of the year, we don't have an actual Disney cruise ship their port is home here on the West Coast. So I'm very
Mhm.
curious if when they build that LA um, uh, cruise terminal or even down in San Diego, if one of those new ships is going to be port here for sure. And John Make It Rain, are you guys planning on going on a cruise soon? So for me, yes, actually, I have theme park conductor who actually approached me because he's been on cruises, but he's never done a Disney cruise. So he brought it to my attention and is really looking forward to doing a Disney cruise. He actually asked me to say, hey, I would love for us to go on one together. And knowing me, that is my Achilles heel. Like someone asked me, "Hey, would you like to join me on a Disney cruise?" Hell to the yes. I will never say no. That's how Abby ended up reeling me in um, before we even started dating because she was looking to do a Disney cruise, and I said it's cheaper to actually take two people instead of one because when you pay for the price of a stateroom, you're essentially paying for two people. So why pay that price for an extra person? You might as well just have, a second person and, go halves on it. So essentially you're getting like the cruise 50% off. So that's how Abby, and she was like, well, why don't you go with me and everything? And that's, which was funny because she asked for me to go before we started dating. And then by the time we actually went on the trip for the actual cruise, we were engaged. So, so I thought that was very funny. So to answer your
You,
question, John, yes, in 2027, me, Abby, and conductor will be doing a cruise, probably a 7 night cruise on the Treasure. And
I just realized, like trying to find a relationship and getting engaged at Disney cruise. I always find a myth, and I always found the myth like, kind of type of stuff, and then I always hear more like a one night stand, like a hookup stories from like what is it, the Carnival cruise or something like that right there. But obviously, I um when I looked at Carnival cruise during the time when I was at the Bahamas, I kind of said to myself, "Man, I'm kind of glad that I didn't go on that ship right there."
yeah, I've known some people that went on Carnival and they said it was okay, but like not what they were expecting. I think honestly, if you're young, if you're single, if you're kind of like that kind of party person, like dancing like it's 1999.
No-
um,
Well, the thing is that like I actually looked at their rooftop right there. They had a basketball court outdoor, and then when the more I was staring at it, I was like, "Man, I feel like I'm back in Queens again, like at the basketball court."
oh, that's great. I mean, that really isn't great, but I know that that's funny. And we got Mademoiselle in the house. Welcome, Mademoiselle. Glad to see you. And then we also got Mark McHugh, and we got Remy D. Where's my comment? Did you put in a comment, Remy? Let me see. I don't.
I don't see it either.
Yeah. Try if you had another if you had a comment, Remy D. Try putting it in again. And then Abby said, I love the soft serve ice cream. She got one every day. There were times, honestly, I think for me, I even got multiple a day. Like you go up, you go up early, get one midday, evening. I absolutely, I'm a sucker for soft serve. So, Carnival Cruise is an affordable party cruise. Yeah, that's basically what it is.
Unfortunately, I would say to agree to disagree because ever since I watched that Netflix documentary of that poop cruise right there, about Carnival, I was like pretty like traumatized. And then recently, somebody actually leaked a TikTok video of like them like filling up a water on the Carnival cruise thing, and then the water turned out to be brown too.
Oh,
So and I'm like kind of imagining myself. I'm like, uh, you know, for a party cruise, they really don't know how to like, it feels like I'm gonna call it like a unsanitary or syphilis type of cruise right there. Like, unfortunately, like if I'm kind of like taking a bath or shower under those type of waters, I kind of don't want to imagine. Now, mind you, I actually tested like Disney Cruises water like quality, and I will probably have to say the peaches were very, very good. Like I was very impressed by that. For a family cruise, I feel like like with the amount that you pay for you kind of expect yourself that the water quality has to be good at the end of the day. And one of my most favorite thing about the Disney cruise at that part was like the bathrooms were just amazingly clean, and then the cast members are always cleaning it like almost every minute, and then there's always like a staff member working at the bathroom, obviously. uh and then if you go down to the Oceaneer Club, they actually have like the Imagineer like section of what they do, and then there some of the cast members that worked at Imagineering that was working with the Oceaneer Club, and they were giving adults demonstration of how kids wash their hands. There's like a little washing hands like a booth right there. If you put your
mhm.
hands in there, it automatically like sprays like a soap, and then sprays like a watery type of like a spray around your hand, kind of giving like as it feels like a hand massage.
Which is genius because we all know with young kids, because my son used to do this a lot, would put the soap on the palm of his hands and he'd literally just stick his hands in the water and the soap would just wash off. It's like, no, you gotta lather, you gotta scrub. So the fact that, and a lot of times there's so many kids that go in and out of the Oceaneers Club that you can't really take the time to do, one by one, but you want to keep them, sanitary and clean and what have you. So that machine, I actually tested it out myself when they had the open house. It's very interesting and honestly a very smart piece of tech.
That tech should be in anywhere you go, like even at
I
the like
agree.
Disney park. Do you realize I actually complain about this every day at Walt Disney World, like Epcot especially, the on the because I don't go to the women's bathroom, so I'm not gonna judge about like how people do it right there. But for men's bathroom, I'm gonna reveal this to like every adults that are watching this right now. Do you realize how many adults don't actually wash their hands after they like wipe their ass or like
Oh, oh,
or like taking piss right there?
absolutely. Oh my gosh, like I'm like when I go into the bathroom and I just see people coming out of the stalls. Not even, like they're coming out of the stall, so we all know what they're doing in the stall.
Right. So like kind of imagine yourself that you watch those type of people don't wash their hands after they do their business, and then all of a sudden you go to like all those like rides, and then they hold on to these rails, or like the like like Soarin' rail, or even like Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Ruin handrails. Like they touch those, and you're also touching their stuff right afterwards. Like I kind of like this is also the reason why I bring like a hand sanitizer for myself just in case, and then when I'm going on board, I'm gonna have to hand sanitize this handrail as well too. And I know some cast members will say, please don't like put any like liquid stuff around the rail. I'm like, I asked the cast member, I'm like, do you realize what these people have done outside of the bathroom, inside the bathroom? They don't wash their
Mhm.
hands. And then the cast member is like, yeah, I know. That was like their response.
I mean, me personally, and I know they had a lot. I mean, they still have like some hand sanitizer stations, but they had a lot more, during COVID and what have you. I honestly think whether, anything's going on or not, honestly think they should have just kept those there, to be honest with you, because I think it just reminds people to say, oh, you know what, there's a hand sanitizer station. use it at least. Yeah, because you're right. When people don't wash their hands and they walk out, and it's like, what are they touching? They're touching the chairs, they're touching the tables, they're touching the, as you mentioned, like the railings and the attractions, and then you're touching that. And then without even thinking, because you're going through the whole day, you're sitting down, you're like, okay, it's time to eat. And then sometimes you don't really think to say, okay, well, let me go wash my hands. And it's like, yeah. And then Lord knows what's all on your hands. And then you touch your food and you eat it. And it's like, ugh.
But like I will say that the people who are on cruise, like I'm pretty sure some people are very unsanitary and so forth. But every people that were in the bathroom right there, they legitimately washed their hands. They
I agree.
legitimately,
I think I've seen it too. I honestly think of how well kept the cruises are. It's almost like people were like, this is like too nice. Like I feel the urge to wash my hands, because they just, you're right, they do. They literally have a team member or a cast member or a crew maintenance or whatever their title is. They're literally stationed like outside of the the bathrooms on each deck, and they're like, yeah, every few minutes they go in, they maybe refill the paper towels, they'll maybe like mop the floor, or they're wiped on the sinks and everything. Yeah, they're like constantly going in there. And that's a good thing, because every time that Disney goes through their inspections with their cruise ships, they always pass. Every single time. And Mark McHugh says, Lene wants to know if you have any tips on for the Disney Wish. Her sister is going on in a few months. Well, I'm definitely not jealous of Lene's sister. I just have to say, I mean, no, I'm kidding. I actually really am jealous. Um, um, so for the Wish, I've been on the Wish twice. Um, More so, I say what I would suggest for any Disney cruise, Mark. Definitely make it be your business to see all the live entertainment shows in the Walt Disney Theater. Majority of them are Broadway style, caliber. Definitely, as we were talking about the rotational dining, you'll get the Worlds of Marvel, you'll get 1923, and you'll also get Arendelle, which is basically what the Lion King is on the Disney Destiny, but it's on the Wish. And they have performers go up on stage and sing songs from the movie. They have the characters come out and do their rotations around the table. So, yeah, that's definitely not miss. And then also too on the Wish, which they also have on the Destiny, but they have a different kind of a storyline to it, is definitely go out to the lobby atrium, the main, where you have the grand staircase where like the characters do the meet and greets, because they have a little mini stage out there where they do little performances there as well. So definitely let Lene know to let her sister that about the Disney Wish. Also, if I don't know what her sister's itinerary is, but if it's going to either Castaway Key or Lookout Key, definitely take advantage to the fact of going out on the island. Those are both Disney owned islands. They're Disney's islands, and I absolutely love them, especially Castaway Key. No, if her itinerary is going to Lookout Key, just know there is a little bit of a walk going over from the ship to the island for Castaway Key, because what they did was, for the locals there living on the island, they don't like to disrupt the coral life that's surrounding the ocean. So they basically, Disney built a very large kind of like bridge, like a dock, so that way they can park the cruise ships away from um, the island, so it doesn't disrupt the sea life and the coral that's there.
That is probably a good idea for the coral life, but I'm gonna say that that's gonna suck for the people who have like a knee issues and they have to like just watch themselves like walk in pain and pain and pain. I'm gonna like the moment that I got off, I looked at that bridge right there, and I was like, man, that's quite a long walk right there.
It's a yeah, it's a hike. I remember Abby because she because of course because we went in May, so like going into the summer months, you know, going to like the Bahamas and the islands and everything, it was very hot. And especially with me just coming out of the hospital with my kidney stones and everything, that it was a trek. I do know that they have like golf carts kind of thing, like if people needed to go to and fro, like if you really can't walk. And I know they have these little push kind of little tricycle things for kids that parents can push the kids, and it's like they're like riding a bike, but they're really not, um, just to get them over there. But yeah, so yeah, you're right. It helps the island, it helps the coral life, but yeah, on your knees and ankles, not a not a good thing for that. So okay, so Remy D. So this is kind of like off the cruise line, but he's asking. My comment was a question. Provided that they figure out their operational issues, do you think Epic Universe is a full day park or more of a half day park? Um, I think for me, after going, I feel like Epic Universe, if done correctly, you can probably get done. I wouldn't say like half day. You could. There's still like more to do than Animal Kingdom. But if it's raining, which we all know in Florida it does, and 90% of their attractions are outdoors, you either have to wait for it to stop raining, or if it's an all day rain, yeah, you're probably not going to get a lot done in Epic Universe, unfortunately. Um, but I think it's more than an Animal Kingdom day, but I think it's less than like an actual full day. And I think Universal knows this. And even though that they retracted their notion of, you know, that they're expanding the parks, we all know that they're doing it. You know, there's still two expansion pads that they even showcase to say, okay, we're going to expand these. They just haven't given any specifics on what they are or when they're going to do it. But even though that they kind of retracted that statement, that it's not true that they didn't say that, they kind of did without saying it. So they're just kind of doing their little cover up to say, oh, you know, we didn't say that because they're not ready. But we all know that those two expansions are definitely coming. Now, Lucas, did you do any of the parks, whether it be Disney or Universal, before your cruise? Oh no, you probably didn't because the Disney Destiny was in Fort Lauderdale, correct?
Yeah, but also, if you're like kind of asking that question in relation to Epic Universe, I've actually been to Epic Universe, so like it's just not during the cruise time.
Gotcha. So let me ask you, what say you with Epic Universe?
I mean, I spent the whole day at the Epic Universe, so I'm. If somebody asks me if it's a full day or a half day, I'm just gonna tell you it's a full day, like because the amount of like despite that I had a fast express pass and every single of those rides right there. Um, at the end of the day, like I walked out around at 9 p.m. Like, so if somebody asked me, so was that a half day? No, it's not a half day. It's not like, but I will say that depending on the weather condition, like you said, and then they end up like closing some of those rides because of that. I think that would be the only reason why people would call it a half a
Call it
day.
a half.
But
Yeah.
yeah, but you have like it's an unfortunate situation for a lot of like universe, not only just Universal Park but also Disney parks, on a very heavy rainy day, or sometimes when like big conglomerate company decides to buy the park for that like the half of the day right there, and you don't get to experience a full day, and then you end up like paying the full price for it. It's just one of those things, like you end up having a half a day experience due to unfortunate events. I had that situation before. Like I paid a full price for Universal, both parks, Islands of Adventure and the Universal Studios. But they told us that they're closing at 5:30 or like in between 5:30 to 6 p.m. because some company decided to buy both parks for their employees specifically.
Hmm.
So I pay full price for it, but I didn't get to ride the rest of the ride, which kind of upsets me. But it's just only one of those things. And they don't even explain to you that like they close at certain days at a certain time. If you buy these tickets like in advance too, it's just like that's just how it is. And I understand Remy's question, and but at the end of the day, like it just varies based on the not only just the weather, but also like due to unforeseen events.
Yeah, absolutely. And Remy D, no, don't sweat it. That was just our overall um, conversation of doing this live. But yeah, if anyone has any questions, regarding anything, we're more than happy to answer them for sure. Yeah, so Remy D, no, don't apologize. That was actually a really good question. Because it really is true. A lot of people, you kind of have like two sides where people are saying, it's not a full day park and what have you. But to your point, Lucas, it depends on what kind of experience that you're having on that day. If it's a really bad weather kind of day, you're going to have a half day. If they have the park closing early for a banquet or a big event for whatever reason, then that'll cut into your time as well. So but yeah, just overall I think the park itself is a decent amount to do if you have a really good day, but I still think it needs more. It has to have more. And Universal is going to answer to that, as I said, with the expansion, even though that they, despite our backtracking on that, but we all know that it's coming. Now I wanted to ask you, because I forgot to mention it when I said that you were flying into Fort Lauderdale because you did the Disney Destiny. I believe you said to me when you messaged me as you were going that the was it the Fort Lauderdale airport was not up to par.
It's not that it's not up to par. I pretty much said that like the staff members are just like genuine like rude, and they acted like they don't want to work there. Like
Hmm.
I understand like because at the end of the day, Fort Lauderdale Airport gets extremely busy because all the cruises go like leave at the same day, and then also all the cruises like arrive at the same day. So whenever the airport's like on that flight time, as soon as you like try to book a flight or about to leave the flight, everyone wants to like kind of swarm all into that airport right there because we all just got off. So everyone wants to go back home, obviously. So they told us that we can't wait at the gate early hand. They told us to check in like about an hour, like just about 45 minutes to an hour before the flight is about to leave, kind of thing right there. So I said, wow, this is like one thing that I didn't know about because I actually thought, like I booked at like around 2 p.m. right there, obviously the flight.
Hmm.
And then I came to the airport around like 10 a.m. right there. And they just told us that we have to wait outside, like sitting on the floor or something right there. And I was like, this is like unexpected. I was very, surprised by that. So we ended up sitting there for until like 12 p.m. to 1 a.m. We had to wait. And then as soon as we got into the check in and then went inside like at the gate, the food like like the what is it, Shake Shack and all those other foods, there was like a huge line. That was like an hour wait line right there. So I ended up going to Delta Sky Lounge instead, getting my food. But at the same time, it's just like kind of crazy because I had to eat food and there was no way to do so. And while people were waiting on the line, there's one thing that you have to understand for Starbucks. There was a huge line, but I decided to take advantage of my Starbucks app to pick up my drink and everything. I used the mobile app to pick it up. So that drink was ready right after 5 to 10 minutes. I didn't have to wait on the line to like to get my order. So for those people who are going on those type of airports and then there's like a huge line, maybe try checking the your app to see if the pickup order is available right away. That's all I can say.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Um.
I agree. I think the some like a lot of times, like even in the parks, like mobile ordering can take a little bit of time, but like if you order it properly, like if you're not exactly at the location, but you have to walk to it, you can put in your order and then while they're preparing it, you go to the location. So by the time you get there, it's you're all set to go to pick it up rather than wait in the line. I've never really had too many issues with mobile ordering in general. So I think honestly that was a again another add-on that I think
Mhm.
uh, works really well to people's favors. Now we had mentioned about like the different like other cruise lines and everything, and you have been on other cruise ships. In comparison to Disney, what would you say like the pros and cons would be um, between the other cruise ships that you've done in the past compared to Disney's?
I would not tell you because I never took any other cruises.
Oh, you haven't? I thought you'd been. Oh, so this is your first cruise in general.
No, this is my very first cruise, and this is also very my first Disney cruise. So, like to me, this is like a kind of like an open experience, what it feels like being on a cruise in general.
Okay. Okay, so then I don't have to persuade you. So you started with Disney, just stick with Disney. So
Oh, so you don't even want me to go to like a Royal Caribbean or anything like that?
yeah.
That
Now if you did have another interest in another cruise line, would Royal Caribbean be your next pick?
Yes, because my biggest problem about Disney Cruise was that they don't have teppanyaki, aka hibachi, right there. So Royal
Okay.
Caribbean actually has a hibachi. Like I still don't understand the part where because I guess like the reason why Disney Cruise doesn't have that, I don't know if it has to do with the like the fire safety issues or like if it has to do with like because like the audience of the people who eat those type of foods are not like really into sushi or like Asian cuisine or something like that. But I think they're kind of underestimating their audience for these foods because a lot of these people these days like they actually love Asian food cuisines like they like other after looking at marketplace a lot of people grab kimchi like that's not even Korean or like or Asian like they like these people just grab kimchi like and that kimchi actually tastes like the Costco kimchi. I'm just telling you right now. I think they just like grabbed it from Costco and they just like poured it onto the tray right there. And I'm like, I'm like eating it, and I was like, man, this actually tastes like Costco kimchi that I always buy. And then I realized maybe they actually put it right up there, because they don't really like, you know, they're not gonna actually fermentize the like the kimchi at the cruise and then pour it all over the tray right there. That just sounds crazy. Comparing to salsa, I think they just like buy it from those like local mart and just like pour it up there.
That's a very good observation because I never really thought about because I love hibachi, but I never really thought of tying it into a Disney cruise. So Disney, if you're watching, you're listening, hibachi on a Disney cruise ship, add it to one of the newer ships because I actually that is very interesting. Because I know that you can get it in the parks, and obviously you can get it in other kind of like resorts, like around the world. And as you had mentioned that you said Royal Caribbean does do hibachi, um, so I'm for sure they probably could. They could even maybe do like a full on Asian themed kind of thing where they incorporate hibachi, where because I know that they like to tie the IPs into a lot of things then maybe they can tie in Mulan, to it for to have like an IP tied to it. Now the one ship I'm not too sure about because I have to do a little bit more research on is the Disney Adventure um that's in Singapore. I'm not 100% sure what I know they have like their main restaurant, rotational dining, but I don't know if they actually added anything extra to that ship that the other ships wouldn't have. But if they didn't, yeah, just in general, I think honestly to have hibachi or something of that nature, and as I said, um, if they want to tie an IP to it, maybe do Mulan or something of that nature. And then we got Jason Hill in the house. Welcome in, Jason. On the adventure, it's in the Monsters Inc. restaurant, Harryhausen's. Okay, thank you, Jason. He just confirmed.
Hey, sushi! Finally, they got sushi, but it's not. It just has to be in the Asian countries section instead of anywhere else. I'm very disappointed about that.
Yeah,
Um,
hopefully that they'll expand the adventure once it goes through like its Singapore run because it's going to be there, for some time. But hopefully maybe they'll switch it up a bit.
Now, as you know, I think as far as this Destiny, the theme was actually like Black Panther as a main theme, like the Black Panther and some African like a culture type of like a background was part of the Destiny as a main theme, and then they actually had Hercules, Brave, as like a secondary right there. They had like Cafe Megara and the Cafe Merida, which was very cool to see. And my room actually had a Merida, like the Brave theme, like backgrounds and everything, which was pretty cool.
Oh, nice.
So now I don't know about Wish. Was it like a Frozen? I guess for Wish.
Yeah, for Wish, like they have for like the different rooms, yeah, they have like Frozen, Cinderella, like they have like those that cover like the rooms.
For
Uh,
Treasure, it was Aladdin, right? Or
yes. Yeah. Yeah, the treasure they have Aladdin because Aladdin and Jasmine are they have the statue
mhm.
um down in the lobby atrium, and then on the Wish it's Cinderella, and then on I think it's the Wonder is Ariel,
Okay.
I think.
Now, for Adventure, did they confirm what's the main core of the theme right there?
I think for the adventure, I don't know if they actually have like a typical lobby atrium. I know that like they have like a indoor outdoor kind of Fantasia garden kind of thing that they're going to have that's going to be like on the inner part of the ship, but it's going to be opened where it's like you're outdoors. Um
So I looked at the ship like a theme, and they actually like revealed like a couple of them. First one is like the Big Hero 6, Moana, Finding Nemo, Toy Story, and then Snow White and the Tangled, and then Avengers.
yeah, I
So
know Rapunzel is on the back of the ship for the Wish.
mhm,
And then Spider-Man and the Spider Bots are on the back of the Destiny.
mhm.
And then
Well, actually, Spider-Man and Spider-Bot was like kind of on the Destiny, but at the same time, it was only on the Oceaneers Club. That was a little bit of like right there. They didn't really have too much Spider-Man, Spider-Bot. But coolest thing about that Oceaneer Club down there, they have so much Mary Blair arts for and there was a lot of like a Small World and a lot of Disney characters in Mary Blair art style for the kids right there, which was a
that's
pretty cool
awesome.
experience. Yeah.
Yeah, you can't go wrong with the art of Mary Blair. Now, this is interesting. Jason Hill said Robert Downey Jr. was just announced as the godparent for the adventure. That's interesting. Hmm.
Now, when they say godparents, though, what does that mean? Like, is that like kind of like the one who cuts the ribbon for the opening, or
Yeah, they invite them to like the master ceremony, and like they'll like dedicate, like they'll do like a little speech and everything. Susan Egan,
Mhm.
who played Belle on Broadway in Beauty and the Beast, and then also the voice of Meg in Hercules.
Mhm.
She's the godparent for the Destiny.
Okay. Funny thing is that I actually didn't see Egan. Like they kind of mentioned her like during her launch. Like they brought it up about us. Susan Egan is like our honorary like guest for Disney. Was it Disney Destiny for during the launch that they were kind of mentioning that during that time. But like I think that's also the reason why they had so much like Hercules things going on because obviously as you mentioned she voiced Megara. So
Yeah, and she was on the very first maiden voyage because I know when they did like the sail away party, she came out and they toasted with champagne, and then
mhm,
she also did a few shows in the Walt Disney Theater um, that she was incorporated in. So I thought that was really cool. Eventually, I never did like an inaugural cruise or like a maiden voyage on one of the ships, but
mhm,
that's also on my bucket list as well. Um,
mhm,
to do one of those because I hear you got a lot of they give you a lot of like free gifts and stuff, that they bring into your room and what
mhm.
have you. Jason, if you're still in the chat, have you done any of the maiden voyages or inaugural sailings? You probably mentioned to me. I completely forget. um, John Make It Rain asks, are the menus for the fancy restaurants the same for all the ships, or are they different for each one? So when you have the ships that have Palo, um, it's more so the same menu. Now I do know for the updated ships they do Palo Steakhouse. I believe that is a different menu uh, than the original Palo. Then they added Remy, which is more like of an upscale French restaurant based off of Ratatouille. That's on the Dream and the Fantasy, and then they added the new Enchante restaurant that's designed for Beauty and the Beast. That's on the newer ships as well. So yeah, you have Enchante is different from Remy. Remy's different from Palo, and even Palo's different from Palo's Steakhouse. Let's see. Do you guys think they will make an X-Men ship and put interactive animatronics on the ships for guests to interact with, like the ones in Wizarding World? I would say honestly, with the cruise market and how it's, they're going to be doing a lot of, uh, growing and everything, and they're trying to push the boundaries, not even just for Disney, even Universal Experiences are looking to dip their toes, no pun intended, into doing ships for Universal. So, I mean, if they decide to get into that realm for vacationing, Disney already, you know, Disney and Universal, go head to head in the theme park world. So if Universal gets in on the cruise line industry, it'll be them two yet again going head to head. So I would definitely say that they would, in the future start pushing boundaries and everything. I don't know if they would do like just an all X-Men kind of thing, like depending on how well, the X-Men return, in the MCU does with Doomsday and Secret Wars, and then moving forward, they may incorporate X-Men, sort of like how they did with Black Panther and Spider-Man and everything on the current ships.
I have
Um,
a feeling that the X-Men for the Doomsday, they're bringing obviously the old characters from the Fox version of it.
yeah.
But from what I'm hearing, all those characters that are going to be shown in Doomsday are all going to perish in that version of the Doomsday, and then you're going to have a new X-Men that are going to be introduced on Secret Wars, and then going forward, they're going to have their own new future MCU secret X-Men group that's going to debut in the future like MCU phase right there.
That's interesting.
That's what I'm hearing because obviously, what is it? Uh like Patrick Stewart and Ian McKellen can't really stay Magneto and Charles Xavier forever. And
Well, and then didn't Ian McKellen actually leak when he was doing an interview? He said that his character destroys New Jersey or something of that nature. That he was like he slipped and he said, "Oh, I should not have said that." Yeah, so we'll just have to wait and see how that all goes. I'm very excited
mhm,
to see what Doomsday and Secret Wars becomes and what it leads to down the road. But yeah, I think to your question, John Mega Rain, I think um, X Men could eventually, be added in. Let me see. Where are we here? We have Billy Rides. Welcome in. As a first-time cruiser, did you choose private dining or social dining? I've never been on a cruise, but I think I would choose private.
It's up to you, really. If you want to pay extra money to go on a private dining, like that's a personal privilege thing right there. For me, I didn't do private dining. I just did social dining. Like, for those people who don't want to spend extra money to go onto those type of experience right there, and that want to try like what it feels like not paying extra money out of that.
Yeah. And then Billy says, I think they need an adult swim ship with Family Guy, Bob's Burgers, Futurama, and The Simpsons. That would be very interesting. I don't know, like if they did like an all Fox kind of property kind of thing. I mean, that's like a slippery slope with the Fox properties because I know a lot of people, even like in the theme park realm, you know, it's hard to really it's hard to really tell, how well it is because Universal's trying to even get away with The Simpsons, and a lot of people are speculating, should Disney bring The Simpsons to their parks and everything? Would it be the same kind of outcome? I think, and I mentioned this before many times, if Disney were to bring The Simpsons to their parks after Universal relinquishes it, I would just say just do a single based attraction. I wouldn't say do like a full on land. I just feel like, and not even just The Simpsons, but even like Family Guy, Bob's Burgers, Futurama, they all have like kind of this slapstick kind of comedy that fits in with primetime animated television. But when it comes to like the theme park space, it's like, it's kind of iffy.
So about that, like I personally don't want a Simpsons theme park, only because I've actually experienced it in Universal, and they did a whole like Simpsons theme park. Let's be honest here, like that they had a Jebediah Springfield statue with Moe's and Duff like beer and everything, and there it didn't bring too much attraction or anything like that. And some people might disagree, but I still remember it didn't bring that much attraction, and that's also the reason why the Simpsons ride is about to be canned pretty soon. Like, it's going to be replaced, not because it's because of Disney. It just was not popular at all. It's just like, if Disney decides to bring it to like makes a fifth gate, they're not going to do a Simpsons World, and they're definitely not going to put like a Simpsons World in Disney Hollywood Studio. They're not. They rather want people to do a world that people are definitely going to be like attracted to. They're not going to do something that you might just feel, oh, this was like kind of like I remember back when I used to watch this show. They're not going to do that.
Yeah, I think once The Simpsons ends in Universal, that's going to be it. I think for this, as far as The Simpsons being in the theme park realm, that's just my opinion. I don't know if Disney has any other plans after that, but I think The Simpsons fit better in the realm with streaming on Disney Plus, continuing the show and what have you, and just kind of sticking in that realm. But Remy D is asking, would you guys ever want to go on a cruise with a known celebrity? I have seen people take cruises where they didn't know that they were on with a celebrity, and they ended up bumping into them. Um, I don't know. Would you ever do a cruise? Would you ever want to do a cruise with a known celebrity that's on the same sailing as you?
I guess I probably would love to go on a cruise, bump into Robert Downey Jr.
That would be a cool, because
Only
yeah,
because
if he's going to be the godparent to the adventure, I'm for sure he's going to be on the first sailing for the
um
adventure.
though also the reason is because he's a Long Islander, and otherwise Ralph Macchio would be another celebrity I would love to bump into. He's also Long Islander, so I'm a New York. Yeah, I live in Long Island, so I would love to meet the fellow Long Islanders, like to see like what they feel like living in Long Island right now, because obviously the snow has been killing me. So I'm pretty sure they'll agree the same thing.
Yeah, like at this very moment, yeah, the East Coast got blasted with another blizzard. And yeah, since Lucas is currently like in New York, like New York is like they got hammered. So and you said like that was like the worst for you in like 28 years.
Yeah, 20 inches of snow is not what I had in mind. Like, that this is definitely like one of the worst things that I've actually witnessed ever since I moved over here.
Yeah. And as you can see, folks, this is my kind of weather right here behind me. So that's why I take Disney cruises to the Bahamas and the Caribbean and all that stuff. I
Speaking of Bahamas, don't go on Bahamas, everyone. I did not like Bahamas at all.
Oh, as far as like yeah, like NASA and that kind of thing, like yeah, I was kind of like over that. The only reason why I like the Bahamas is that's where Castaway Key is. But like the actual Bahamas, it's like, you know, it is what it is. Let's see. Have you had to shovel out your car yet?
Yes, and also I had to use a snowblower, but obviously it was not eating up too much snow. Like it was way too tall, and I feel like I should like plow my snow like yesterday before it got worse. But obviously it was just not. It was just like not a good experience for me.
And oh, and then Remy D. As far as for me, I can't think of like of a specific celebrity right now I would pick, but just in general, like if I knew that I was on a cruise with a celebrity, I'd be like, man, I hope I bump into them, like go into an activity or at dinner or what have you. That would be really cool.
Why don't you just say that you want to bump into Josh Damaro and then just say that you want to like say a lot of things that you have in your
Oh
mind that
yeah, see that would be kind of cool because once we're on the ship, he has nowhere to go, so
oh yeah.
he can't escape. Oh man, hey, I chased him down Main Street, so I mean, heck, I'd chase him through the uh, through the ship. Lord, let's see. Have you been able to
Trust
trust fall
fall into the
into the
snow yet?
snow yet?
Uh, have you been able to trust fall into the snow yet?
Yeah,
What
uh,
does that mean?
that John. I don't know, like if it was like a typo kind of thing. If you can just elaborate on that. Let's see. Remy D says, I just got done clearing 14 inches of snow. Not as bad as Lucas.
I'm gonna assume that they're either from like upstate or New England, but as of right now, like I fear for the worst of anyone from the northeast side right now. I just can't even imagine like what kind of snow they got right now.
Oh, okay. So he's saying like trust fall, like when you like fall back.
No, I didn't want to lean back into the snow. I was like you have no idea like I just had it with like the snow in general this year. You When I went on a cruise for the first time, I had to actually book early. I had to change my flight a day earlier because I was told that the snow was coming right the day that I was about to leave. So I was talking with the Delta customer service, and then the lady was like, I'm gonna suggest you one thing: change the flight. I don't care how much it is. It's better to change the flight and pay extra than completely miss out your flight and miss your cruise because you're not getting a refund from that.
That
That's
is
what she
true.
said.
That is very smart.
So I ended up, going, a day earlier at the Fort Lauderdale, and and then I looked at the cameras on my phone with the snows and everything. I was glad that I missed that snow, and I was glad that I took the flight a day earlier. But at the same time, the day that I returned, my basement pipe bursted, and then the
Mm.
water was spraying all over my basement, and then it flooded in my basement into my computer room and everything,
Oh,
and including my figures and so forth. At least it didn't like completely flood the room. It was only up to like 1 inch of the water. Um, I only lost like a couple of things, and that was it. But I'm just gonna tell you, this is my first and last of the like trip going anywhere during the winter season. I am gonna stick my butt over here and just like and just not gonna take any flight any further in the future for any good foreseeable future during the winter season. I kind of told I kind of told my family. I said I should have gone. I should have moved to Florida. Like this is not what I was expecting. But at the same time, Florida now has like it's just like the most expensive place to live in now too. So I don't even know.
It's yeah. It's like moving all over too. It's like even like the weather, like you don't even know, like everything's just changing and it's just like it's crazy. Remy D says Josh can put on a goofy suit and you would never even know. That is very true. He's tall enough to fit the goofy outfit.
So does that mean that when Minnie Mouse was like hugging me really tight during the cruise day, does that mean that that was Josh Merrick hugging me really tight? Because because like she was like kind of like putting my arm around it, really squeezing tight, and then and I was like, you have a boyfriend and his name is Mickey Mouse. Are you sure you want to be that tight? And she was like kind of like, oh, like kind of doing that. And I'm like, oh my god, is it lean?
Billy rides. I didn't know they charged extra to have your own table. I wouldn't pay for that either. Yeah. So what it is it's like an upcharge experience for like the higher end restaurants. Um, both Lucas and I agree to the fact of that if you're doing your first cruise or Disney cruise, do the regular rotational dining first. Get the layout of the cruise and what have you. Then when you go back on, you get a little more season to it. I still recommend trying it just to have the experience because they do have good quality food. Abby and I did Palo on our, I think it was our last night on when we took our cruise on the Magic, and I enjoy Palo. I also love the brunch. The brunch is a little bit more difficult to get a reservation. So if you can get a Palo brunch reservation, it's really good because you get a lot of food for the price value. Um, but yeah, but like starting off, I say honestly, just go through the cruise, like move with the rhythm of the ocean, so to speak.
Now I have to ask, like, have you been to any other like experiences, like such as a haunted mansion, like the bar or anything like that?
Not yet because the haunted mansion parlor started out on the Disney Treasure.
Okay,
Um, so
I
when we
actually been
go
there, but
next year,
that was really good experience.
was it? So how was that?
It was really good. Like for the fact that the moment that you go in, you feel like you're actually in a haunted mansion. Like the whole like the portraits that like they change like from the like the like figures that turn into like undead, and then the fish tank that actually looks like a fish tank but it actually has like a skeleton, like fishes like with the like a display right
And
there.
I'm so glad that they added that in there because that pays tribute to Disney Imagineer Wally Crump, who is no longer with us. But that was
Mhm.
an original piece of concept that was supposed to go into the Haunted Mansion, and they never added it. So the fact that they
Mhm.
dug it out of the archives and they put it in there, I'm so glad that they did that. But yeah, that's really cool because that's something. Even though that I've been on 10 Disney cruises, that is something I have not yet done. Um, so yeah, I mean, a lot of people were speaking highly of that Haunted Mansion parlor.
So it was a good experience overall. Like the drinks were good. Like I didn't have an alcohol drink. I had more like a soft drinks. And they like if you're not an alcoholic person, obviously they have their own like a spooky sodas that they call it, which is creepy crawly cola, sour shivers, lemonade, screaming soda, grim grinning grape. I tried all of those four, and that was very good in my experience. And I actually went around and recorded the area, but there was like one particular content creator that was just like sitting right on the seat right there and was trying to record around the place. He didn't even get up and he didn't like walk around to record it. He just sat there recording. So for me, I was actually walking around and recording. And then the guy like because I was like legitimately like walking around, and then he didn't feel like moving around, so I got in the way by accident, and he just like was like, you know, say, he's like, dude, you're in my way, like of recording, and I was like, oh, I'm sorry, and he's like, it's like you're I'm trying to record, you're in my way, and then I'm like, you try to move around, and he's like, do I look like I can move around, kind of thing, right there, and I'm like, um, I mean. It's a public place, man. Like, if
Yeah,
you
it's
really,
like
if
it's
you
for
really want to,
everybody, you
if
know.
you really want to, like make a content out of recording, you want to walk around and
Yeah.
record.
Well, and here's the thing, if you're also recording, that's why they call it take 2, take 3. You can pause, you can record again, and it's like everybody paid to be on that cruise. So it's like, yeah, I don't get it.
Yeah, but also they had a Cruella de Vil. It's called the bar is called De Ville's. It's a very limited access for people, and there was a huge line people wanting to go in there. There's like a private piano where people, like somebody performing piano. You drink alcohol in there, obviously, and experience like like a Cruella de Vil's like private type of bar right there. It's for adults, obviously, and I heard that Cruella de Vil as a character kind of like joins in and takes photo with you, like back and forth, and that was also popular. And then the Sanctum, obviously, in the Treasures, it was like what is it, Jungle Cruise,
Yeah.
but in the Destiny is a what is it, like the Sanctum from the Doctor Strange, and they have the Doctor Strange type of theme with the Bleecker Street sign and everything, and that was a pretty cool thing. Now in that area is more like a drawing session and like a crafting workshops that they do with a family, or like people who want to draw like Disney characters, and there's somebody like who's like teaching you how to draw, which was a pretty cool experience in my personal opinion.
Okay. Yeah, see, those are some of the extra things that I have not experienced because they only have them on the newer ships, like even after the Wish, like just specifically for the Treasure and the Destiny. So,
Oh wow, okay.
yeah, I can't wait. Like they have like some of the similarities for the Wish, but like yeah, the Treasure and the Destiny have um more higher of those, like you had mentioned, like the Cruella de Vil experience and the Sanctum and the Jungle Cruise and the Haunted Mansion. So I do know on the Wish that they have the hyperspace lounge for Star Wars. Um, but I'm very curious to see uh, the Haunted Mansion parlor for sure. And then we got Jesse Adventure in the house. Welcome in, Jesse. And then let me just come back up here.
I
So
think
Remy
John. Okay, yeah, go ahead.
Remedy said New England. Wife and I are going to escape this weather for a bit to go to a last minute Universal Orlando trip. We got season passes. Hopefully, Orlando doesn't freeze over. I mean, I know that they've been dealing with a lot of like the cooler things, that they're not used to, but probably compared to New England and everything you guys are getting up north, I mean, I'm for sure it's probably much better.
Actually, funny thing that you say that. The moment I returned, I heard that like the pipes were bursting all over the place at Walt Disney World.
Because
They,
of because of the temp.
yeah, it was like 20 degrees in Orlando, and then all the fountains were like frozen with ice and everything. And then the what is it, Remy's Adventure at the Epcot, like the pipes were bursting all over its place, so like the waters were all like frozen on the
Oh yeah,
floor
I
and
did
everything.
see like the fountains being all frozen and stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. So,
yeah, that's crazy.
who would have thought like the Orlando actually getting like 20 degrees like in deep freeze like New York, and then all those people who try to escape from New York and New England moved all the way down there, and they just experienced exactly the same thing that they faced back.
And Remy D says, talking about a celebrity, I saw Tim Tracker on The Wish last year. He was having dinner with his wife and the whole family. He was definitely cordial and they seemed welcoming. Yeah, there's I personally haven't been on with any of the vloggers as of yet. Probably like if I was to do an inaugural cruise or a maiden voyage, I probably would um be with them. I do know I have two friends actually that I met on the Disney Fantasy, and I stayed connected with them. They recently went on the Disney Magic, and they were on the cruise with Drew, the Disney dude, which I knew Drew was on there because he told me about it. So I told my friends, I was like, see if you can find Drew. I think you guys are on the same cruise, and sure enough, they did. They took a group, they did a picture with him, and then I also paging Mr. Morrow was on that cruise as well. Yeah, so hopefully, um, maybe in time, uh, I can get on with some of the vloggers. And John Make It Rain, is the extra cost worth it for you guys to see the ocean? So, as far as I know, I've always been able to see the ocean anywhere that I go on the Disney Cruise Line. Now, I do know that there are some ships that you do have to pay to have that ocean view, where if you want to sit out like on a private, like cabana kind of thing. But as far as I know, on every Disney cruise that I've ever taken, I didn't have to pay extra to get a view of the ocean. But now, if you're asking for in your room, John, it is a little bit more of an upcharge if you get a veranda stateroom where you actually have your own private balcony that's connected to your room where you can sit out. They have chairs, they have a little table, and you got a your own private viewpoint. So yes, that if you wanted to pay for that, that is actually kind of worth it, for me, especially if you have a longer cruise, just to do a little bit of an upcharge on your room. But as far as like in the public spaces on the cruise ships, it's free.
I personally did a veranda. I love the ocean breeze, and then when I go outside, like during the nighttime, and you like kind of look at it, I like, you know, it it's very calm and quiet, and you sometimes it's just like the whole ocean breeze sounds and everything. It's like a white noise to you.
Yes,
That's just a perfect way to just relax right there,
it
and
really is. It's very soothing.
yeah.
I
So
baby.
I if you're like the type of person who has a lot of anxiety because like due to like possibly like being on the ship itself, or even like like too much claustrophobic like type of feeling right there, because there's no like outside or like windows or like any type of like outdoor type of feeling right there, I would recommend paying, even if it's extra, I would recommend having a veranda, and then just like just sit outside for a couple of minutes right there. It really does give you a little bit of better soothing type of feeling with the whole white noises and everything.
Agreed. And John Make It Rain is asking, have you had to keep your water running before to avoid it from freezing?
Yes, actually I have. Ever since I moved, I actually did not know about like I have to leave the water running um to keep it, the pipes from unfreezing. So that's one thing that I forgot to keep the water running before I left the place, obviously. But I also at the same time, didn't realize that our main like the previous owner didn't really didn't really split the main valve and the sprinkler valve, so that like the pipe won't burst. So I didn't realize that, and I learned it the hard way. And as you go along, being a new house owner, you just like kind of learn in one way or two right there.
Yeah, that is very true. Now, Lucas, I have one last question for me, but it's kind of
Mhm.
like in three parts. So, if you had to rate your very first, not ever just cruise, but Disney cruise, what would you rate it on a scale from 1 to 10? One being the lowest, 10 being the highest. And then part two of that, would you do another Disney cruise? And then the part three of it, if you did, which Disney cruise would you take next?
Um, overall experience, like my cruise, aside, I didn't get motion sickness, obviously, but I still felt that like after like motion, and everything. But overall, like the service, guest services, foods, and like entertainment and everything, I would probably give you know, Disney Cruise Experience like 9 out of 10. That's just my pretty good review right there. Um, Also, I went there during my birthday week, and when I had the birthday badge on, I actually had more birthday wishes than I received from like local most of my friends and my family right there. So I it made my life so
Birthday.
happy. Yeah, thank you. And obviously, I was very happy. Like very happy. It made me feel better. But obviously, by the time like at the during the evening when everyone says happy birthday still, and I was like, okay, maybe that's enough for now. So that was like, but I love the guest services. Like the housemaid, always prepped the room and made always like had like a decorations at the bed, expecting me, always gave me like a nausea pills or like the chocolates to not feel dizzy, and then also gave me like a ginger tea packs and like hot waters and everything. She was very accommodating. I still to this day I do appreciate their services. I feel like Disney customer service within the cast members in the cruise are much better experience in the than the parks, in my personal
I
opinion,
agree.
or the resort itself. And I think the reason is because you are in a cruise, so like you're gonna be like stuck with like in the cruise, like, and everywhere is like a kind of an
That
ocean.
that
So,
is that is very true. It's like personal one-on-one attention,
mhm,
where I do agree with you. I think the service is impeccable. Every single person that I spoke to that ever has taken a Disney cruise, whether it's a first timer like you or a seasoned person who's been on Disney cruises more than me, they
mhm,
always say the service is impeccable. And you're right, it is better than the parks, but to be fair, that is very true. When you're dealing with operations with a park where you have constant people coming in and out, like thousands upon thousands each day, where with a cruise, it's a little bit more intimate. You get to
mhm.
know the person, you know their likes, their dislikes, what they need, their wants and everything. So that's a very good observation with that.
And then as for the what is it? Like the NASA Bahamas and the Atlantis resort experience, I probably give it like 5 out of 10.
Oh yeah.
And I will explain why. I used to dream about going to Atlantis Resort since I was teenager when it first launched. And then that was like always, I've always been told that that was like the best getaway ever for, like on the like the trailers and markets and everything. Like the Atlantis tell you like one of the greatest like Caribbean getaway resort ever or something like that. So when I decided to book it for the water parks and everything, I was very excited about it. The moment I arrived was probably like the biggest disappointment ever in my life. And I
Well,
and I kind of asked myself, I waited 20 years for this, like kind of thing right there. And the reason is because the resort has not been maintained for more than 10 years. And then all those like the benches, the like the the like the towels or the bathrooms and the facilities and everything, they haven't been renovated or renewed for more than 15 years. And then the customer services were just like very rude and everything, and I I was very disappointed by that. And then not to mention the tubes on the river were also like not fully inflated, so like they're half deflated, they're not floating very properly. And when I was checking like the rough rivers down there, I like hit a couple of my tailbone when I was going down.
ooh,
And and then yes, it is the Atlantis in the Bahamas, John. So basically, I if I just like kind of relaxed and like slept through, I probably might have hit my head a couple of times on the walls or the knee itself, and I probably would be bleeding all over the place. Not to mention, they told me to fill out so many like like paperwork, like they told me "Hey, you have to do this paperwork, you have to do that paperwork." And I was like, what is this for? And they're like, just in case if something happens, like it's not for our responsibility for anything happens.
see for me that's already like a red flag, because the fact that you 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 have to sign something just to even do the water slides, it almost seems like they've had a lot of maybe complaints. So to kind of like protect their ass, they're like, yeah, okay, fair, sign these waivers because yeah, we're not going to be responsible. But if you actually said that you've actually encountered where you could have gotten injured like badly, then yeah, something needs to be changed and
Yeah,
fixed.
and then the waters were not clean either. So like and then like even on the like the what is it the like this some of the like water slide indoor area, the lights weren't even turned on. There's no music. There's nothing right there. And I was like, what is this? Is like they and not to mention like there's not really good places to eat right there. You see Gongcha and then Shake Shack. Those are the only two food places that you would go within the Atlantis resort. So for me, I just was like, this is quite disappointing. Oh, not to mention, like as soon as I got off the NASA Bahama cruise right there, and then right as soon as I was about to get on the shuttle, there was like a bunch of police people right around the corner of the street, and then I see somebody like laying dead on the floor right there.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Wow.
And I was like, oh, this is a very warming type of trip right there. And then I was like telling my family members, I was like, hey, I think I should have gone to Cozumel instead.
Oh man. So John McRain says, I wonder if that has something to do with the fact that the employees have nowhere to hide and that the guests are on the same ship, so they can easily point out questionable conduct to guests. And then Remy D says, also, I think crew staff they work on the ships for 3 to 6 months at a time. So yeah, you're both right. Actually, all the crew staff have 9 month contracts
Yes,
and they have off for 3 months, and then if they get their contract renewed, they come back to the same ship, or they may be transferred to another cruise ship that can be as well. So, and then also to John, to your point, because of how they get paid is literally by their service, because their paychecks are through us. So you could either do pre-board gratuities or you can pay upon your debarkation of the ship, and you hand them the little envelope and everything to show like you appreciate their services through the cruise. So they have to be on the top of their A game for sure, because literally that's how they get paid. And yeah, if you have any complaints, to guest services or what have you, there is nowhere to hide, because especially like for housekeeping, they are designated so many rooms. So you'll have your own personal housekeeper through the whole duration of the cruise. Your wait staff, they follow you restaurant to restaurant. You don't
that's
have
what I found. Yeah, that's what I noticed too. And then not to mention, like I'm gonna give an advice to those people, like please leave a positive feedback for your cast members,
yes.
because cruise cast members actually have more strict reviews that like even like the slightest like -1 star, they lose their jobs comparing to the parks cast members.
Yes.
And that's why they go through so much training, and they do way better job with the customer service comparing to the parks.
When they
Uh,
literally call it a signature experience, that's why. Because yeah, they go through a lot more extensive background checks. They do extensive, as Lucas was saying, training. Uh,
mhm.
and they just don't pick anybody. Like you have to have like the qualifications for whatever position you're applying for. They put into a lot of deep thought of who they're hiring.
So and then census, like the what is the fitness center, I probably give it like 9 out of 10. I actually been to his fitness center every morning, and like it's very clean. They maintain it very very well, and then all their machines are like just like top notch gears. So you're not gonna miss anything if you're into obviously fitness, doing fitness obviously.
I've been to the census spa, like that part of the thing where you go into the rainforest room and they have the heated chairs, they have the cooling showers.
I also went to the census spa. I
Mhm.
did acupuncture and then the massage as well, just to see the experience right there. I probably give it 7 out of 10.
Okay.
Not that because it's like I didn't think that the acupuncture did worked or not. Actually, it actually did. It's just that I um I had better acupuncture experience outside of the cruise right there. So,
Fair.
but also the price that I give is not really um it's just way too expensive.
Mm.
That's just how it is. Like the massage and then the services was also pretty expensive too. So like if you're like into those type of stuff, um I would recommend it if you like those type of stuff.
Mm.
Like they have a barbershop with like the alcohol, like like whiskey and like alcohol experience, which is pretty cool in my personal opinion. And like those type of things are pretty cool experience. But obviously there's a price.
I've done the Captain Hook's barber shop on the Wish, where I
Okay.
got the haircut and the shave and everything. And I tell you what, that was an experience. That was really cool.
So like if you're into those type of stuff, I would recommend it still, regardless. Like just I just give it that like lower review because I have a better experience outside of the ship. But
Yeah.
obviously, you know, when you're having a long walk and long like uh obviously you're like tired or sometimes like staying on the cruise for too long, and then you need a massage. I think that's a you can spoil yourself for one or two, and which is nice. But because I actually got a $50 coupon. I know Remy was asking about like, did you receive anything extra because of it's your birthday? Yeah, I received a Census Spa $50 coupon.
Nice.
So I decided to take advantage of that, which is pretty cool.
And yeah, John, yeah, they have like an array of many different things. Like they have uh yeah, it's like they have massages, they have acupuncture, they have um I think they even have kind of don't quote me, I don't know if it's the exact same thing, but they even have like kind of like a liposuction kind of thing. Like they have like all different things, scalp massages and hot stone treatments and all that stuff.
And then
Like
lastly,
it might not have been liposuction. It was like something like to clean out your toxins of your body. Um
Disney Lighthouse K. I would probably give it 8 out of 10.
okay.
Walking wasn't the complaint. My biggest issue is that, like, for a $1 billion company, they just couldn't figure out, making a building where there's like a locker room, so they want you to change your bathing suits and clothes in the bathroom instead on the toilet, which never made sense to me. Um, I feel like you need to legitimate like you made a new island in there, but you didn't make a locker room. I still don't understand that. You know, I asked the cast member, "Is there a locker room?" They're like, "No, sorry, there's no locker room. You have to go into the bathrooms to get changed." I was like, "Really?" So
And
I give it an 8 out of 10 for that. The
8 out of
foods were great. Yeah.
okay. All right. Yeah, I enjoyed Lighthouse Point or Lookout Key. As I said, in comparison, I still prefer Castaway Key, but it's definitely up to par with a second Disney island. And I said the water, it was just impeccable. Remy D says we recently went to Atlantis, competitor Bahamar across the channel. I find it vastly superior to Atlantis in terms of accommodations, although Atlantis water park is better. Also, kids eat free. That's interesting. Okay. Yeah, I really wasn't too big of a fan for Atlantis myself. I feel like it's completely overrated. I feel like that the hype of it is I wish that the hype matched what the experience was, and unfortunately, it wasn't for me either. So I feel like that they need to do a lot of maintenance and a lot of upgrades to that, and hopefully, if they do, maybe it can get better. But we'll have to wait and see. So now, Lucas, so since you rated to all those, and you gave like the overall cruise a 9 out of 10, which is very I think is very understandable. As I said, normally anybody that I ask that goes on a Disney cruise, it's either like a 9 or a straight 10. So I think honestly that was really spot on for, even for me, to the fact that for I've done 10, Disney cruises. Plus, I think also too you have to rate each cruise individually because you could have a completely different experience that one can be better, than the last. Um but as an overall thing, yeah, 9 out of 10, I definitely agree. Um would you do a Disney cruise again?
Most likely, yes. I probably would. Would my family members do it? I think the answer is no. One of my family member was like having a difficulty of their time with the whole nausea, like the seasickness and
Mhm.
everything. She put like patches on, and she put like like she had a Dramamine and every day, and that was still not helping either.
Aw,
But you have to understand, like the cruise is not exactly like for everyone. It
yeah,
really isn't. It's like while the experience is great and everything, that the food isn't great and everything, but at the same time, it might be the hardest thing to like deal with. And I had some people tell me like, the first time is going to be the worst, like worst experience, but like after like a third or fourth cruise, you'll feel a lot less because of, like the reflex memory reflex, that you no longer feel that type of like a seasickness. And I was like, I think it really depends on the people, like whoever go on to those type of cruise. But would I go there by myself? Maybe. Like, I just, like I with friends, maybe, definitely. Like that's one of those things that I actually prefer. But I will say, like Remy said, lack of casino is a deal breaker for my family members. For me, is one of the reason why I like it. So I know the Royal Caribbean has a casino, if I'm right, and like Disney Cruise is definitely not for adults, like standalone adults, in my personal opinion. If you're not into Disney type of stuff, and if you're like into those like partying or like adult, like the grown up teenagers or adult type of activities, like that is like more like active and like like or something slide or rock climbing or something like that, it's not definitely there for Disney. I think those type of stuff are Royal Caribbean, and definitely has those. So if you're into those type of intense stuff, that obviously Royal Caribbean is there for you. Because I actually watched those videos, and after experiencing on Disney, I think Disney is more like a mild, I want to relax type of stuff. Even if there's like a family type of stuff right there, and I love like Disney's entertainment shows, and there are some adult type of stuff right there. I actually went to Triton's Lounge, and they have like the adult karaoke, adult like jokes, and there's like a socializing like events right there. But when it comes to like a dance party or like a drinking party out there, obviously it doesn't exist right
Yeah, I agree with you in that sense. Like, now I've done a few Disney cruises solo. I still enjoyed it, but to your point, if someone is a cruiser that they're so used to having that typical cruise style where yes, they have like a casino, they have like nightclubs where you're dancing the night away and kind of thing, and you have like that high energy vibe where you, like you mentioned, like rock climbing and stuff like that. So yeah, if like for adults and stuff like that, yeah, that's you're probably would aim more towards the other cruise line industry. Yeah, Disney has more of a, where again you could still do stuff as adults and what have you. You don't have to have a family, you don't have to have kids, but yeah, it has more of that chill kind of lay back kind of thing, which that's what I enjoy. Because when I go on vacation, a lot of times, especially when I go to the parks, it's a lot of like the hustle and the bustle and all that. So it's nice to actually go on a Disney cruise and just like that is my um that's my safe haven. Um right there. Also too, with the Disney Adventure coming out, it's going to be the first Disney cruise ship that's going to have actual like rides.
roller coaster. Yeah, I
Yeah,
seen
like
that.
attractions on the ship, so they have the room enough to do that. So that's probably gonna be the start of many things to come with the Disney Cruise Line as far as, like, adding actual rides and attractions on there as well. Um, Billy Ride says, "Do they offer snacks and food outside of meal times, absolutely. You can get basically anything your heart's desire, in between like your big dining. As I said, you can go on, up to the buffet, you can go to the outside um like vendors, like you can get the pizza, you can get chicken tenders and fries, hot dogs. They even have shawarma, if you're into that, like on the ship as well, or if you just want.
Shawarma. I didn't see shawarma. Where do you see shawarma? Like I'm a New
They,
Yorker,
they
so
didn't have they didn't have shawarma on the Destiny.
no.
Oh, they
Like
had it on the Wish.
I'm a New Yorker. If they offer shawarma, then I would have taken that shawarma.
Oh
That's
dang,
outrageous for me.
they had it on the Wish.
Now I gotta take a wish now.
Yeah, they
uh,
had shawarma. Let's see. Billy Rides also says, I agree, John. I want a Disney adults party cruise. I mean, you never know in time. Like if Disney has like so many. Here's the thing, too. Disney is still a baby in the cruise line game. Like when you look at all these other, cruise liners that have been out for many decades, they have 20, 25 plus ships. Disney is only going to get 13 starting in 2031. So, they're still very young, in the cruise line industry. So as more ships come online, there's more destinations and everything. You never know. They may just do something kind of wildly out there. But speaking of different locations, now you did say you would do another cruise. Which cruise ship would you take, or like what itinerary would you like to go to?
Alaska.
Okay.
I want to, and I've actually never been to Alaska, and I really, really want to go to Alaska. And one of the things that I really want to experience within that Alaska cruise is probably aurora borealis type of like a view outdoor during the nighttime. I heard some people that they actually did witness it around September, so I kind of want to try that. But at the same time, and also I also want to see the like the obviously tundra glaciers by taking the plane and like like seeing all of those too. I've seen some of the YouTube videos of people like stopping by at the Alaska and taking the plane and recording all of those.
I've
I think
heard nothing but good things with the Alaskan cruises. Every person that has done the Alaskan cruises, they really enjoyed the itinerary. So then if you're going to do an Alaskan cruise, then it would either be probably I believe the Wonder does Alaskan. I think they started doing it with the Magic, but I know the Wonder does. And then of course you do the Wish for the shawarma.
so. Yeah, so the Magic and Wonder are right there, but at the same time, there are I think Bryson, the one who does the review for Disney cruises, was
Mm-hmm.
saying that he didn't really like Magic as much, but also he didn't like Wish either. But like he was saying that the Magic was like a little bit outdated, and
Mm-hmm.
when it comes into bathrooms and like the room itineraries. So like he was like kind of disappointed. So that's what's kind of holding me back on Wonder and Magic. I was like, why not just put like Treasure or like Destiny in Alaska or something?
Yeah,
And
they may eventually move them. I know with the newer ships, what Disney likes to do is put them as the headliner for Port Canaveral, Florida, because by doing that, it entices people to go to there so they can have like their land and sea vacation where they go down to Walt Disney World and then tie it into a cruise. I think that's Disney's mentality. I mean, but as more ships come out, I could definitely see them like rotating them for sure because they should. They should, because for people who would want to do an Alaskan experience, would say, hey, you know what, this would be really cool if we went on the Treasure during Alaskan, where we can still do the Haunted Mansion parlor or the Jungle Cruise and what have you. So I think in time, I could definitely see them, maneuvering things. And John says, I've seen other videos where they order wings, and I was going to answer to that, and Remy D beat me to the punch. One of the best things about Disney cruises is that room service is included in the fare. Royal Caribbean charges extra every time you order. Sometimes you just want to eat quietly in your room. That is very true. And yes, it is. It is included with your cruise. The only thing is, it's nice to give a little bit of like extra gratuity to the person who's delivering the food to your room. Again, that's optional. It's just nice, to give them a little something, but overall, like room service, yeah, you can get wings, you can get salads, you can get whatever you want actually brought right up to your room.
A funny thing. Well, what's his name? Jesse Adventure was talking about. I just wish they would wish sail away in Seattle. Funny thing that like that's another thing that I haven't. I kind of wish that Disney Cruise would do is like they used to sail out in New York, and they no longer
Yes,
do.
they
But
did.
I actually talked with one of the cast members during Disney Destiny, and they said that they are planning to relaunch the Disney Cruise to sail away from New York to like either Bahamas or like the Disney K Islands. Um,
I remember they used to sell out of New York. Actually, the Magic was home based in New York for the longest time.
mhm.
I remember that.
Yeah, they said that they are planning again, like starting this year,
Well, that's good.
where yeah,
Good.
so they are going to sail depart from New York and possibly go back to Canada or also Caribbean coast like the uh, Castaway Cay. But
Nice.
they didn't specify which ship is going to do that. They said pretty soon, starting this year, or pretty soon, like when the courses start to change, kind of thing. So I'm assuming that it's like Magic or it's like probably Magic that's gonna sail away
I
from New
wonder if
York.
it'll be the Dream.
Dream
Because it
might
seems
also be
like
the case
because it
too.
seems like the Dream is kind of like on the rotation right now. They had the Dream over, I think, for some of the European cruises, and then they had the Dream doing some of the Miami cruises. So that they kind of have the Dream like floating right now. So I wonder if it's going to be the Dream.
Yeah, that I think that's what's probably gonna happen. But as of right now, they said that like it's still in talks, but they confirmed that it will start to happen starting this year or at least next year. They
Exciting.
they said that they kind of paused it since the what is it? I guess like pandemic time. I think that was like the reason why they
Okay,
kind of
I
stopped it.
never even focused because I do remember them doing it, but yeah, it never dawned on me until you mentioned it. That's right. They used to have a location out of New York. And yeah, that's true. I think after 2020 when they reopened, I mean that took some time to get the cruise line back up, but that's right. I don't think they returned with New York. So whenever they do restart it, that's going to be very refreshing to see that come back to New York, because I think honestly everyone should have a location to where like at some point a Disney cruise ship can sail out of. I think that would be very good for business.
Yeah, like but also with the snow and everything happening around the New York all the time, I think instead of taking the flight to Florida and then having like either delays or cancellations, if you live in New York or New England, you can just drive down to like book a hotel at the like nearby and then just go on a cruise from New York and then just sail away from there. I think that's like the biggest advertisement for Royal Caribbean and what is it, Carnival, because they actually have a port in New York, and they just say, hey, we have a port right over here. If you don't feel like going to Florida, then you can just come over here and take the sail over here. And Disney Cruise is the only cruise line that's not doing New York right now. Every other cruise lines are doing it in New York.
And that's probably why when you talk to the cast members, they probably said, you know what, we're going to be restarting it back up because they got to get back into that game. That's money, money, money.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I mean, that was honestly, that definitely sounds like you definitely enjoyed yourself. I'm happy that you went on your first Disney cruise. That overall you felt that it was a great experience. And was there anything else that you wanted to bring up or talk about?
Um, I know a lot of people are probably gonna like so one of the biggest thing that I would probably give an advice is like if you are the type of person who always brings like what is it, power strip to cruise or anything like that, you can't bring a power strip, unfortunately. That you will like the moment that you go on board, they will confiscate it, and then they'll probably return it back to you by the end of the cruise. But um, it's just not worth a bringing to, I'm giving you a heads up. You can bring a USB port. That one is okay. Like they actually like allow you to plug your AV cable on a with a USB port. I actually bought a Anchor USB port that allows you to 250-watt charge right there. That which is like a supercharging for most of the phones and other devices that you might use. You can do that, and they used to allow power strip like a couple of years ago, and then they changed the policy obviously, and I think that is probably the reason probably why it's like for the safety reasons. And I think some people like took advantage of that and then like ended up like frying their power strip by accident or something. But also they also said to like to prevent people from using up too much power within the cruise. I think that is also another reason why, ever since that poop cruise incident in Carnival, I think every cruise line has like taken the memo and note that, oh, maybe it's probably not a good idea to bring a power strip because everyone's just gonna eat up too much power and then the cruise will shut down and all of the like nothing good will come out of it. I think
Well,
that's also the
we'll have
reason
to
why.
pull out the defecation bags.
Yeah. Um, so I don't have complaint about that. Like that, I think that's like the smartest thing ever. But if you intend to, if you're concerned about like, charging certain things, be sure to charge your stuff before you get on board. Like go into a hotel and charge everything, if you're that concerned. But also, just play smart. You can bring a USB port, a charger, like multiple ports right there. That's perfectly fine. They're not gonna say no to it. They're pretty accommodating. And then also one thing that I can confirm is that I actually brought a battery pack with the AV plug right there. They didn't confiscate that from me, so I think that's pretty much fine. Do the ships let you bring a solar panel and battery packs? No, no solar panel. They will confiscate that, and then also they will confiscate Starlink panel too. They don't allow you to bring Starlink anymore. They used to, and then they realize that people are taking advantage of that, so they tell you no Starlink, and then they tell you to pay money for the Disney Wi-Fi instead. You
Yeah.
know,
And that's probably where they noticed that they might have been like losing money. And let me tell you, to pay for the Wi-Fi on the ships, it is hella expensive. And depending on what level of Wi-Fi, the price just keeps going up.
I ended up paying $500 for it, to be honest with you, but I don't regret on spending that much because I actually have like a work outside of like Disney contents and like and the trips. So I needed those like Wi-Fi's, and I also needed to check
And
the.
that is true. I mean, the people who do spend the money, like because they do work while they're on the cruise or what have you, or they're doing like content or what have you, they say that it works. It definitely does work.
But also, you have to keep in mind the roaming service for like text messaging or calling is very expensive. So doing a Wi-Fi on call is much cheaper than you think. Like if you have some people like bombing all those text messages and bombing all those calls right at you, and then you pick up all those text messages and calls, you're gonna realize that you're spending at least $100 or $200 on those if you're not using a Wi-Fi. But
And also to keep in mind that if you download the Disney Cruise Line app for your party that you're on the ship with, you can have basically like free texting through the DCL app. So everyone definitely keep that in mind as well. So it doesn't eat up like data or minutes or what have you. Yeah, just do it through the DCL app. And then also to obviously if you have been on cruises, you know the drill when it comes to, have your proper documentation, have a current passport. If you don't have a passport, as far as like being in the US jurisdiction for the cruises, such as like the Bahama cruises or the Caribbean, you can utilize your birth certificate and other forms of identification. But if you're going to go overseas, international, you do need a passport. So I wanted to throw that in there as well. But Lucas, was there anything else before we get out of here?
I guess if people want to like leave a one more question, that's fine. But like, um, with passport card, they kind of do accept it, but I was told by a cast member to not to bring a passport card, but actually bring
I
a
was told
passport.
to. I was told to because it is cheaper to get a passport card. But yeah, I was also encouraged that when I was getting my passport for the first time, when I did my first Disney cruise, they said we highly recommend actually getting the book than the card.
Yeah, I would just to be safe, just bring a passport book itself. Not, it's just not worth of like you being rejected off the cruise for that. It's just not worth it.
So I know Lucas had mentioned this a bit earlier, but I'll give my straight answer. Probably not. For some reason, I call me Disney bias. I think if I was to be open minded to try a different cruise line, and I'm not saying for someone to pay for me, I'm just saying like that would probably be the only way that I would go on if someone was treating me or inviting me on. Then it's like, okay, well, I just for me, I can't foresee putting my own money out doing any other cruise. That if I'm going to do that, I'd rather just go balls to the wall and do a Disney cruise. But again, that's just me. Each person's different. But what say you, Lucas?
So I have 3 to 4 cruises that cruise line besides Disney I have in mind that I want to really try. And obviously I've already talked to you about Royal Caribbean's like the first one that I would really want to try. And then the second one is probably a Virgin cruise line. I heard very good things about it. That's one thing that I want to try. And then the third is Ritz Carlton, if I have money, obviously.
And then I know Abby's done several cruises outside of Disney. I took her on her first one, which was, as I said, was on the Magic back in May.
Mhm.
Abby, if you're still watching, what are all the cruise liners that you've been on? Because I know you've been on a few.
Yeah, until she responds. So the last one that I want to try is the Norwegian cruise line. I heard Norwegian is pretty good in its own ways too. But obviously, like I don't want to say like I'm pretty sure everyone went on like a cheaper cruise line like such as MSC or Princess, and I'm pretty sure everyone has their own like positive experience. Um, and I probably I probably would believe that too because like I think every cruise has its own advantage and disadvantage, obviously. But as Remy said, like Royal Caribbean charges extra every time you order something. I think that's a pretty
And
disappointing
even
thing.
the sodas. Like when you go on Disney Cruise Line, you have unlimited amount of soft serve beverages where each time that you go on the ship, if you want a drink, you have to pay for it. So again, yeah, it's I guess it's just a balance of what you would rather do where it is cheaper up front, but then when you get on the ship, that's when it can get a little bit pricey.
I think that's like the part of where the statements that you get what you pay for kind of thing right
Yeah,
there.
I agree.
Because Royal Caribbean obviously it's a lot cheaper, but when you're boarding, but when it comes down to like at the end of the day, you know you obviously there's gonna be like extra fee charge of accommodation. But I heard that the suite section is like a kind of concierge type of service right there, so they don't charge you extra for the soda for Royal Caribbean if you do a suite room. So if you're ever doing that, then you might as well choose that too. Like,
And also know too, and I do know people that have done concierge with Disney Cruise Line as well, and I think that would be an experience in itself. But also know too, don't spend the money on concierge thinking that you're going to get a higher tier of pampering in a sense from the cast members because no matter which level you are on a Disney cruise, you get pampered to the highest quality whether you're in the basic porthole stateroom to top-notch two-bedroom suite in concierge. You get the same quality all around and that's what I love about Disney Cruise Line.
yeah, I agree with that. Definitely.
I don't know if let me see if Abby. Oh, there we go. She beat me to it. I was texting her to. Sorry, Abs. Okay, yeah. So she said she's been on Carnival, Norwegian, Royal, and Princess.
Okay. And which was her favorite?
Yeah. What was your favorite, Abs? Can you put them in orders because you did Carnival, Norwegian, Royal, Princess, and then you did Disney. So if you can put them in, do like five. Well, one, two, three. Yeah, 5 to 1. So five being your least, one being your best. Any snow parking wars, Lucas?
Um, no, because I have my own driveway, so there's no parking wars. I'm
Well, that's good.
luckily.
Yeah, so we'll just we'll wait for Abby to do her countdown.
If she says that Carnival is the first place, I'm just gonna assume that she likes the poop cruise.
Let's see. What's your favorite buffet item? My favorite buffet item may surprise you. They have a lot of good food. I love Disney Cruise Line's bacon. I don't know what they do to it. It's not super crispy. It's not super fatty. It's like in the middle, but God, I love their bacon during like going up to the buffet for breakfast time. All the other cruises have a lot of extra charges. Let's see. And then Remy D says, "Are the Mickey waffles overrated?" For
Yes.
me, I feel like they're overrated. I think honestly, they're cute for kids and everything, but the way that a lot of these people are like so gung ho with the Mickey waffles, I do like some of them though. When I do my shorts on Hollow Gelato over in Schmoozies, over at DCA, because they have like the ube filled ones. They have different seasonal ones. Those are really good, but do I need it every time? No. However, on the cruise, a lot of people wait. They do the churro waffles. And I've never tried them personally, but there are people that are literally, they will get up super early to make it up to the buffet so they can get the churro Mickey waffles. Have you tried those, Lucas?
No, I didn't even realize it existed. It existed. So now, what's my favorite buffet item? That's a very hard question because I actually liked all of them. I gained 20 pounds out of this.
Oh, yeah, that's very easy to do to gain
so
absolutely.
so I guilty as charged. I probably would say like I'm very biased about it. I think as I mentioned, kimchi with a pork cutlet with a rice was actually my favorite buffet item at the marketplace. But if I really like had to be least biased, I guess Disney Cruise Line's cheese pizza was actually like pretty good. I don't know what they do with the dough right there. I don't know what they do with the sauce and the cheese. I
I I agree with you with that.
I like I feel like I was eating Lunchables pizza like the visually, but at the same time after tasting it, I'm like, this is like pretty addicting.
Oh, it is. So I'm assuming because I've had the pizza on the Wish and the Fantasy, I don't know what it is. The toppings, the cheese, the sauce they got right on the Fantasy. I feel like the dough was different than the Wish. I actually preferred the Wish's pizza over the Fantasy. So based on how you were describing the pizza, I would think that being that it's part of the Wish class, it almost seems like the Wish class got different dough than the other Disney cruise ships. So I would assume that you ate the same pizza that I did on the Wish.
Yeah, also another thing is that like the burgers are really good, and then the barbecue short ribs are very good too. Like I just like I can't complain like these foods right there. Like I don't know how they do it. I feel like they put a lot of MSGs or something. There's like some tricks to it that I just can't explain. That's why I gained 20 to 25 pounds out of this, and I feel like they just like they're just like feeding these people, and I can't understand why people want to go on a cruise more than the park these days, because the cruise, they're just feeding you these stuff like, and not giving you a single charge for it, and I can't understand that. Like they really spoil these people. You see
Mhm.
what I mean?
They
Like,
do.
yeah, and then it makes me feel like, what's the point of going to Disney, Walt Disney World, or like Disneyland, if I'm gonna be spoiled like this with this type of food and the entertainment? It's just
And
like,
that is very true because a lot of the people who do the parks, which the parks are fun, the parks are great. I have a great time at the parks. Obviously, you guys can see it on the channel, but Disney Cruise Line, it's just another level of experience that I'm sorry, you don't get in the parks. You don't. I know
no,
that
you
they
don't.
now add the cruise line into the parks with, because they don't call it parks and resorts anymore. They just call it Disney experiences. So they attach the cruise line to the parks, which is fine, but in comparison, you get two different levels. You get two different levels there. So Abby says my rating is Disney, Royal, Princess, Norwegian, and then Carnival. And
Thank God she's not putting Carnival in the first.
yeah,
I feel like I think there's a divorce ready to happen right there.
yeah. So no, Carnival was dead last, and
Okay.
Disney is first. Um, and then Remy D says acai berry vitamin water at the Soda Fine is my go-to drink of choice. I know that I love the acai berry vitamin water. I know that very well. That's actually one of my favorite vitamin waters, to be honest. And then we got Giant Peter Adventures in the House. Hollow, hollow, hollow. He says Norwegian has the best food. Um,
I'm
I,
gonna,
I would have to take that.
I will consider about going there for just for the food, like. But if I'm disappointed, I know who to blame,
Yeah.
and
Oh
then that's
yeah. Of
gonna be
course.
Giant Peter Adventures.
And then John Rain says least two favorite. I'd go with Carnival, Royal, Princess, Norwegian. John, um, have you done Disney cruise at all? Have you done just these?
I think he's been asking about the Disney cruise to us, so I'm assuming that he didn't go on a Disney cruise.
Okay.
Yeah, but yeah, John, I'm gonna like definitely recommend Disney Cruise, even if it's Magic or Dream, whether it's like a old quality. I think the customer service experience and then the entertainment experience, like wise, I think definitely Disney Cruise is where it's at right there. Um, but like as for Destiny, I just enjoyed everything right over there. There's no question to it. And I love the fact that like Black Panther was actually in that cruise and doing the whole Wakanda Forever like as a representation, which is pretty cool. And the fact that like they had like the whole African like this design designs around the cruise right there made me feel like I'm back in the Disney Animal Kingdom resort a little bit right there. So which
Oh,
was a
that's
pretty
cool.
exciting.
Bring some of that on the cruise line. So John Rain says, I don't know how cruise logistics, but I'm guessing they're able to buy their diesel in like some sort of yearly contract, which probably saves them money. I do know the newer ships, the Wish class, are eco-friendly. I believe that they use more for the type of fuel that's better for the environment, that's better for air quality. Which that's another thing that they would probably end up changing over time with the older ships. That if they decide to keep them over time, they may change over to the more eco-friendly fuel. And then he also said, "My lady doesn't like open water." And as Lucas said earlier, cruising is not for everybody. You know,
It
there's
really isn't.
have fear of open water. There's people who get seasick. Abby actually gets seasick. She waits till after the fact. We're on the ship. We're eating lunch, and she's like, and I said, "Did you need like a Dramamine? Do you need like a Zofran? Do you need a patch? Do you need anything?" Gum. and And she's like, so far I'm good. And I'm like, so do you only get like sick like once in a while? She's like, oh no, every single cruise I've ever been on, I get sick. And I'm like, you're telling me this now after the fact we boarded? But luckily, she had a great time. She only got, and she wasn't super sick where she was down and out. She just got a little bit nauseous twice, and that was up in Cabanas. It was more when we were up higher, when the ship was hitting some of the waves. We were in Cabanas for breakfast. Correct me if I'm wrong, Abby. I think it was breakfast or something, or lunch or something. And it was hitting the waves. It was breakfast. It was hitting the waves. And then when we had dinner at Palo, because the captain was going, he was hauling ass because he had to get back to Port Canaveral for the next day because it was the last day of our cruise. So he sped up the ship. So we were like booking it. So when you're on the upper part of the ship, you really feel the waves. So she only got a little bit seasick twice, but again, it didn't ruin the experience, thank God. See, I love the cast members on the Disney cruise. They are amazing. Let's see. Remy. There we go. Let's see. If Universal were to get into the cruise game, do you think a fully themed cruise like a Harry Potter cruise would be overkill? And that's a very good question, Remy D. We mentioned it earlier in the live about if Universal, got into the industry with the cruise line. I would say I don't know about doing like one specific IP for the whole entire cruise. I think that would be a little bit overkill. But I think if Universal went the route that Disney does, like where they did the Haunted Mansion Parlor and Hyperspace Lounge and the Jungle Cruise, like they have different sections. So if they were to get Harry Potter on the cruise ship, do like a designated section. If for God help me, Minions, if they wanted to put that on there, put that on there, what would have you, Shrek, Secret Life of Pets, what would have you. And then I would love for Universal to buy an island, a deserted island, and go all out and do like a full Jurassic Park or Jurassic World themed like experience when they dock on the island. That would be really cool to me. But what say you to that, Lucas?
I mean, I probably would say that the Harry Potter thing is kind of like, no offense, but Harry Potter as an IP, like just so alone, would not actually bring a lot of customers, in my opinion.
In your opinion, do you think that it was great at the time when they brought in Harry Potter in 2010 to the parks, but now we're like 16 years later, and do you feel like that it's even overkill in the parks?
It might be overkill in the parks. Like if anything, I would probably say that like kind of bring Nintendo stuff into the part, like the cruise might actually bring more appeal more people into the cruise, Universal cruise, in my personal opinion. Like have like Mario and Luigi and Pokemon characters like mascots in there. I think that's a little bit more appealing for the kids, But at the end of the day, the cruise should be more appealing for the family over the adults. That's just that has always been the thing, because it, like, at the end of the day, like, all like by appealing more families, it brings more guilty pleasure or guilty type of feeling that you have to do this with the family kind of thing, as like a kind of a perfect getaway. Because like adults, like if you're not into those type of stuff, then obviously you're not going to go on a cruise. It's a choice. But when it comes down to family, you have kids, so you have no choice but to like try to cruise with the family, like who's never had those type of experience.
Exactly. I remember when my son was younger, he loves the Disney cruise. Like he would take a Disney cruise over the parks any day. There's times where he was like so like whiny and mopey and miserable when going to the parks, and I'm like, "Hey, you be good when we go into the parks, otherwise you're not going on the cruise." So and then he was like, "Fine, I'll have fun at the park so I can enjoy the cruise." But yeah, you're absolutely right. It's like you have to still, you have to have your own kind of niche of like what you're looking forward to as far as like vacationing and experiencing and and all that stuff. Do you feel like it would be to Universal's benefit to go into the cruise line? Do you think they would be successful with that?
Depending on where you're going. But obviously, like, there's way too many cruises that are going around the Caribbean. So I would say, like, go on a like course that you know no one's going. Like, try something different, like going to New Zealand, or go on like something a little bit more Costa Rica. I think like those type of things that will appeal more people, because some people are gonna get tired of going to Bahamas or going to Caribbeans all the time, and like they probably want to try something new. And then if Universal takes like snipes at the like a new area that nobody has ever done, then obviously they're gonna get a lot of popularity out of that. Like such as like Dominican Republic, nobody's has ever done that before. That's also going to be popular.
That
Or
is
some,
true. That is true.
yeah. And as far as I know, there's barely any Jamaica drop point either. So that's also pretty
Yeah,
good in
there's
terms of.
there's tons of locations that these cruise lines can definitely explore. And I feel like with Disney, they're going to eventually do that with the new ships coming online very soon, and then
Mhm.
eventually with Universal if they, get into the game as well. Abby did confirm, yeah, it was for breakfast at Cabanas and then dinner at Palo was when she got the seasickness. And then Giant Peter Adventure says one of the Disney ships needs Cafe George. Theme to it, George's Italian Pittsburgh home. Honestly, Peter, you know what they really should have done? They took out Pinocchio's village house out of Disneyland and they rethemed it to Red Rose Tavern. They could have just kept Village Haas and they could have just took Pinocchio out and just put my name in it. Because I mean, they even pronounced it Haas. I don't say house. I say Haas.
Mhm.
That's my East Coast um, that's my East Coast speak. But but Lucas, I want to thank you so much for joining. Was there any final thoughts on anything?
Oh, that's pretty much it. I think we had a lot of discussion about this cruise. I didn't even realize it was a it's already been 2 hours that we've been talking about it.
That's when you know you're having a very good conversation when you're not even paying attention to the time and you're like, wow, did we go 2.5 hours talking about a cruise? And Remy D says, great live, guys. Thank you so much, Remy D, for joining, and everybody that was able to join in on the live and submitted your questions, opinions, thoughts, concerns, all that good jazz. But and Lucas, thank you so much for coming on once again on Hollow Gelato and discussing your first ever not just cruise but Disney cruise. And of course, I'll definitely have you back on for many more conversations because there's a lot going on in the theme parks and the Disney community. So we will definitely have you back on. And Jesse Adventure says, great live. Thank you so much. And George's Jungle House, double the IP. There you go. Yeah, there you go. You get the Pinocchio and you get the George of the Jungle. And but Lucas, again, thank you so much. If you want to let everyone know where they could find you on social media.
You can follow me on iLucasK on X, and then it's lucaskim.com and Blue Sky, and then you also can subscribe to me on Lucas and Disney. Now, like I'm gonna say that, like, even though I didn't even realize that it was like a 2 hour and a half, there are a lot of things to talk about within the cruise. Like I still haven't even like talked half of the things that I wanted to say, like such as like the shows and like
That
what
is
kind of
very that is very true. So do you know what? We'll have you back on. We're gonna do another live. We're gonna do Disney Cruise Part 2.
Yeah, like I said, like this whole trip has been like the wondrous experience to me, and like I want to talk about like the mascots and then the shows, and then like I've actually been to other like panels, like such as like the bingos and like and then the Trident's Lounge and everything. I know I don't know if George has ever done any of those, but for me, I decided to take my time doing each one of those things just to feel
Yeah.
what it feels like. And I really want to share it with the people who might be very curious about it. So we'll probably do this another time, obviously. The I wish to talk about it a little bit more, but I'm like after snow today, I am kind of feeling sore. So I would like to take a break a little bit right there.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, so folks, definitely look out for our continuation of Lucas's first ever Disney Cruise live part 2. So in order for you guys to find that out, just like, subscribe, hit that notification bell on Holo Gelato, and you'll get all the notifications when anything is going up. And of course, as I said, we will definitely have Lucas back on, especially for our part 2. So definitely check out for that. There's a lot more content coming on the horizon in the coming week. And then I'm off to Florida myself for my big 2-week vacation with Abby, theme park conductor, and Tommy Toon World. So definitely you will be seeing a lot of content coming from Florida as well. And I want to thank you all for joining. And Giant Peter Adventure says we have to do a Disney cruise and Paris live. Of course, absolutely. And Abby says, great live, guys. It was great to see Lucas again on the channel. Absolutely. I love having Lucas on the channel. He brings a lot to the table. I love having the conversations with him. And we will definitely see you guys on the next live. And I'm George, the Disney Italiano. And as I always say, in Disney Italiano fashion, stay safe, stay healthy, stay Disney. Italiano out.